It's a very interesting way to spell the Richard Buckley Show, isn't it? But nonetheless, you are here live for the EA Sports Cup, and it's all about the wins and losses. Some of the biggest names in FIFA esports, Matías Bonanno, MS Desari and Zizinho, all world champions in their own right, have suffered those four letters behind me, L-O-S-E. They are no longer in the tournament. On the other side of the screen, WIP. N, or whatever that is. It's the win. It's the qualifying to the knockouts. And look, if last week was anything to go by, tonight is going to be spectacular.
Last week, an incredible Group D was decided in our final games of the day, but will we see more late drama tonight? In Group A, Complexity topped the table and look set to recapture their past 2v2 glory. Meanwhile, European powerhouses EXCEL and TG.NIP are neck and neck, with both teams eyeing a spot in the knockout stages. And it's do or die time for our two Brazilian sides as SPQR and MGCF look to reverse their fortunes and snatch a place in the knockout. Who wants it most? We'll find out tonight on the EA Sports Cup.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the EA Sports Cup. My name is Richard Buckley, joined by the beautiful Mike LaBelle and Brandon Smith. Mike, have you got something on your mind? Because you look discomforted.
Well, I didn't know you were going to spell out win and loss. I answer win and lose. If we could skip that in the future, I'm happy. I feel like I'm watching a kid's show for the intro. I've got this figured out.
Okay, look, I mean, I'm a big fan of children's TV.
Who in production let him do that? Somebody green-lighted that.
They did, because they saw the magnificent being that is Richard Buckley right here live in person. Joined also by Brandon Smith. Brandon, it's getting tense all of a sudden here in the group. We've had 4 teams go through to the knockouts guaranteed. Tonight we see 2 more.
Yeah, we do, and you have to say this group, again, is going to be really tight tonight. 3 teams out of the 5, still unbeaten so far, and still so much to play for.
Yeah, absolutely. We mentioned 4 teams are through. We can have a look at the bracket as it currently stands right now before a ball has been kicked. What we can tell you, tonight is Group A. What does that mean? It means that the winner in Group A will play against PSG Esports. Mike LaBelle.
You must be talking about Complexity, who's currently in first place, the only North American squad, looking good, former world champions. Just a little shout out. I might be a little bit biased, but unbiased. These are facts. It's objectively.
Well, wait and see. This is right now. We've not seen anything yet. That's why we've got question marks over it. Brandon, one thing I can guarantee you, who finishes second in this group will play against one of the favourites for the entire tournament, Focus Clan.
Yeah, they didn't make it easy last week, did they, Focus? But regardless of that, they have been unbelievable. One of the favourites to go the full way here at the EA Sports Cup. Just picking up on that point as well from Mike LaBelle, we haven't seen a team outside of Europe as of yet qualify for the knockouts. Today we could see the NA Giants of Complexity and also maybe even a South American team. There's 2 Brazilians in this group.
There certainly is. Well, Brandon's just told you 3 of the 5 teams in it. Let's have a look at the group standings as it currently sits right now. Complexity Gaming, top of the tree, 8 points from 12. EXCEL,
undefeated.
Team Hulk Ninjas in Pajamas both on 6. MGCF on 5. And I'm sorry, I know they're just backstage. They're about 40 yards away, but we have to talk about SPQR Brazil, bottom of the table, 0 points from 4. Brandon, they would have to have a meteoric rise if they were to get one of those top 2 spots.
I'm sure I saw about the backstage praying, Richard, because they did a miracle. And 0 points after a horrendous week 1 4 weeks ago. They've flown in what? A long, long way to London from South America to come around and try and turn their fortunes today. Are they going to be able to do it? It's going to require, a miracle.
And these are some shots that you're seeing on your screen right now, just from a few moments ago. The players warming up, getting relaxed. Speak about SPQR, there they are. Mike LaBelle, I know you're biting your tongue because you see Complexity Gaming on the screen. What do they have to do if they want to try and move on?
They're taking it serious. See that? Everybody else smiling, joking around. Nope. Backstage, serious business.
Absolutely, as you just see. Levi Weerd there, all smiles alongside Ollelito. They're going to be Team Hulk Ninjas in Pajamas, a real force in this tournament, and that is one of the real interesting games in round 1. We're going to come to that in 1 second because, Mike, I know you briefed me before we even went live. Let me talk about Complexity Gaming. That's what you said to me. Talk about Complexity Gaming because it's a tough game against MGCF.
Look, we don't get a chance. They're the only North American team. They've been performing well, but I also want to give a lot of credit to MGCF. These 2 guys have been working together with FBarreto and Crepaldi. We've seen them with the E-Nations, of course. We've seen them with the E-Club. These guys have been in a collaborative effort, and they've been some of those Brazilians on the rise.
On the other side of it, Brandon, our featured match for this first game, Team Hulk Ninjas in Pajamas against EXCEL. What can we expect from two powerhouses going head-to-head?
Hate to say it, but not many goals. This group had the lowest amount of goals 4 weeks ago, 24 in total. And one thing we know about TG.NIP, only conceded 2 goals up to this point. They don't concede goals today. Please make it change. I said there wasn't many goals last time they played, and that is because there wasn't. There was 2 in this game. It's our opening game here tonight. 4 weeks ago, this match finished 1-1.
It certainly did, and I think if you're looking into this game, there's not a lot to take from it. EXCEL scored from a set piece with the last kick of the game, arguably. The points were separated 1 each, and Mike, in this opening matchup, 1 point isn't really enough. You need to be taking 3, but is it also we can't afford to lose this game for one of these two rosters?
Well, I hope both of them commit to it, because you can create that degree of separation, especially to start out the tournament. If you win, not only are those points, of course, being allocated to you, but again, you're knocking your opponents down a notch, and there's only so many more points that are available. That's why we kind of brought up SPQR. There's barely enough, really, for them. They have to be perfect today.
They do have to be perfect. Another team that has to be at the very top of their game is Team Hullet Ninjas in Pyjamas, and the style of this roster, Ollelito, the Swede, has to be at the very, very best if they want to go through. If you don't know who Ollelito is, have a look at this at his finest moments.
Ollelito works pretty much with analyzing his opponents.
Right now, looking to continue on, St. Maximin. First goal early.
The running scoop here is a signature goal for him, really.
Ollelito has been there, he's won a major.
Oh, what a ball by Usman Dembele. He's in the box, he chips it over the head, and Ronaldo gets the goal!
Yeah, I think we will just play our game, stick to our style, and then if we play well, we will have a very, very good chance of winning.
Team Hullet Ninjas in Pyjamas building towards, creating a bit of danger. Hullet says yes, why not?
Ollelito, one of the best FIFA players in the world.
Well, he certainly is one of the best players in the world. There were a lot of your commentary on that, Brandon, right there. What makes Ollelito sit so high on the pedestal of FIFA Esports?
Well, I think you sort of called it in a commentary moment as well, Rich, that he's won a major. He's a FUT Champions Cup winner, and there's not many of those in the FIFA ecosystem. Also, just a top professional, Richard. The way he carries himself around in person and online, there's not many of those sort of players in FIFA Esports, and he's just a very, very sound and nice guy. He's a really important part of this TG.NIP team.
Ultimate professional, Ollelito, whether it's
Absolutely.
off the pitch or on it. Well, if you are just joining us, this is your first ever time watching tonight the EA Sports Cup. Let me run you through a few of the rules and regulations that you have to be familiar with. We're playing a group format. What does that mean? Well, 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, and 0 for a loss. It is going to be played over a double round robin format. That means that we play the group standings, everyone will play against each other, and then we play again the repeat side of the fixtures. The top 2 teams will qualify for the knockouts on January 16th, with the bottom 3 being eliminated. Brandon, we've yet to see it yet in the EA Sports Cup, but we do have tiebreaker permutations on the line. Talk to everybody at home about the tiebreakers.
Yeah, I'll do my best. We haven't seen a tiebreaker yet. Last week we came close. Maybe tonight we will need to go to these different points of the tiebreaker. Point 1 is total points in all matches among tied teams. Of course, the second way we could find ourselves in a tiebreaker is goals scored in all matches among tied teams. And the third way to come to a result would be goal difference in head-to-head matches among tied teams. I'm reading off the screen. I'm trying to make it make sense. It's just not clicking in my brain at the moment.
Don't worry though, we will give you all of those tiebreaker stipulations as and when they come into play live here. Don't you worry, we'll keep you updated with a live table of who is the top 2. Well, we are ready. The casters are ready. Everybody is ready here at the EA Sports Cup. Let's meet the players.
Beautiful, beautiful people. That's right. You've heard from Rich. You've heard from Brandon. We have Group A on display. And to get things started, we have SPQR between Felipe and Nathan. And as we teased at the beginning of the show, these fellas need results. Every single match counts. Following them, we have the former world champions. Talked about North America. We're looking at complexity. MaXe, Joksan, currently leading the group, still undefeated. What's better than one Brazilian pairing? Well, if you ask, if you may, we have MGCF. We have 2 Brazilian pairings. We got FBarreto, and we have Cripaldi, the most animated FIFA duo out there. I don't know if the celebration collaborated, though. Following them, we have EXCEL, Team EXCEL. Tom, Gorilla, 2 household names. Huge matchup coming into this. And speaking of that big matchup, you guys are going to be going up against Team Ollelito, Ninjas in Pajamas. Last time you guys were out here, we saw a draw. What's shifting in week 2?
I think the aim for me and Spen is to be more brave this week. I think we're too passive today. Main thing is just aggression, trying to score more goals. Hopefully that'll get us through to the next stage.
Yeah, as Tom said, we've got to be more confident in our gameplay and score some goals.
We'll let you guys get sitting down, situated, get ready to play. And then last but not least, you heard me start to build it just a tad bit. We have Team Ollelito and Ninjas in Pajamas, Ollelito and Levi. Again, opening matchup against Team EXCEL. We've got the brains and we have the emotion, I suppose. Well, you heard from them, you heard from your competition. How does that make you feel coming into this? Is there anything that you're shifting? This is our second appearance as a squad.
I think we played well last week when we were here. The only thing we were missing a bit was the lack of concentration in front of goal. So we need to take our chances this time. Otherwise, I think if we play like we did the last time and finishing our chances, we will have a good chance of going through today.
You want to add?
No, I agree on that. Like, especially against EXCEL, I think we played our best game, but in the end conceded a corner like the 88th minute. Otherwise, we would have got the 3 points there. But we are here now and want to get the first 3 points to the day.
Maybe the big question everybody wants to know, how many points do you feel that you need today in order to go through?
I would say 6. So if we get 6, we will be on 12. I think that should be the number. To be 100% secure, I think 7 should be making it, then finishing on 13, yeah.
You heard the permutations from both these fellas. Go ahead and get situated, get set up, get ready. I think everybody wants to know at home what needs to be done. You heard 6 or 7 points, 12 or 13 to get you into that conversation for the top 2. I know that the timer has been queued. We got Brandon. We have Ryan Pessoa back in action to recalling that first game.
Thank you very much, Mike LaBelle. Yes, we're back again for more FIFA esports. Myself, Brandon Smith, and Ryan Pessoa of Manchester City Esports, guiding you through round 1 of the EA Sports Cup. We have to speak about it firstly. This man was in action last week. It might not have been a week and a tournament to remember, but I can assure you, get back from that and they've had a week to think over it, and it must be, look, there's a lot more opportunities to come this year.
Yeah, I think we played well, obviously, but we just didn't get the results we needed. We drew majority of our games in the competition, so if you're not going to be able to win the games that you should be, you're always going to find it tough to advance into the knockout stages. So, yeah, we just didn't perform at the levels we know we're capable of.
Yeah, if you didn't see last week, obviously it was Focus and PSG that made their way through to the knockout stages. Tonight, 2 more teams will find their way out of this very difficult and tightly contested Group A. This game will be our first one in action tonight, Ryan. I have to come to you. They drew 1-1 4 weeks ago, and between them, one thing we can say is they both defend superbly well.
Yes, exactly. As you said, both Ollelito and Levi spoke about their performance against EXCEL last week, or the last game week. I think they played really well. I felt as if they deserved to win. I felt EXCEL were, as Tom said as well, very passive in that game. They done well to come out of that game with a draw. But they'll be hoping this week for both sides. They need a win. Yeah. A win to start off here would be great, just to give them that foothold and try and advance into the knockout stages.
And I have to ask you, SPQR, is it done or is there a chance?
It's not done mathematically, so I guess you can always say they still got that hope. But to turn around from getting 0 points in the first week to getting, they need 12. I think they need to win every game.
Well, here we go then. Kick off in round 1 of the EA Sports Cup. And it's been quite the time if you are a football fan at the moment. FIFA every Monday coming your way, but more importantly, a World Cup that's taking place all around the world right now. And speaking of that, we'll get you guys involved at home as well. Who is winning the World Cup this year? Let us know in the Twitch or YouTube comments. We can see you. We can see your comments tonight. Get yourselves involved in the conversation. And other than England, Ryan, obviously, who is your favourite to win the World Cup off topic?
Oh, I think it's hard to go against Brazil. I guess that's kind of reactionary because we just saw them get another win, but I think they have the strongest squad on paper.
I was going to say Argentina, but after a bit of a rocky group stage, they've seemingly got it back. Maybe they can fall their way into the knockout stage. Enough of World Cup. Let us know in the chat who you think will be going the full way this year in Qatar. For now, it's EXCEL against TG.NIP. It will be Ollelito and Levi kicking from right to left in that TG.NIP strip. Keep an eye on those player cursors above the individuals' heads here of who's controlling each individual input. Ollelito is the captain on this team. in possession now with that blue triangle above his head. His teammate, Levi, who might not need him right now. Because of that turquoise green on the opposite side, of course. Tom and Gorilla, the UK force, a duo that have been together for a second season now. I mean, look at that roster in general, Ryan. They are just full of quality. They've got a former FIFA world champion there. Of course, you cannot look past the accolades that Thomas Lees has had as well in the last few years. Yep, they're both fantastic players in the 1v1 scene. As you said, I don't think they've reached the levels that they should be at in 2v2. They played well last year, but again, they just fell short of where they'd hold themselves accountable for. But in 1v1s this season, of course, Tom is coming off of qualifying for the next stage of the E-Champions League, which is a great boost in confidence coming into today, as we see build up here from Team Ollelito. Here's Jarzinho. Levi looking for the one more pass into his teammate, who does so well to twist one way and turn back the other, and just like that, TG.NIP up by a goal to the goods in a game that means much more than 3 points. It's a fantastic start from Ollelito and Levi with their build-up play. Even earlier on in the game, the first time they got into the box, they looked dangerous, and it's a fantastic goal played across there. And a little swivel finish from R9 Ronaldo into the opposite corner gives them the 1-goal lead. But as I said, they've started off very well. You can see them retrieving possession, pressing well, dribbling well in the box as well, as you can see the table as it stands. This is how it looks as it stands right now, Ryan. You're absolutely right. As we said, SPQR are currently sitting out of this round, and if the table moves as it does and teams start to pull away even further, they have got an even bigger mountain to climb. If they can think, or if they think, sorry, they can find their way into the knockout stage. This game is so much more important than 3 points, as I said, Ryan, just because it can really set the pace for one of these two teams. Just to pull away from their opponent, could be two, it might just be Jarzinho. How have you missed that? Wow. He timed it green, but somehow the Brazilian icon has not been able to find the back of the net there. Yes, it's been a dangerous start here from Team Ollelito. They look threatening every time they go forward, but I don't know what's going on with EXCEL. They spoke about they need to be a slightly more braver on offense this game week, but defensively they look sort of shocked, but here they are building up here with their first attack. First sniff at goal. Here's EXCEL, building nicely. Gorilla tries his best to manoeuvre past Lucio at the back. I just wanted to speak about that very briefly. It's been 4 weeks, Ryan, since we last saw both these teams in action. There was a patch in that time as well. They only scored 4 goals, TG.NIP. You're right to say they've started on the front foot. What do you think has changed? Because they seem so much more offensive. Yeah, this is the best I've seen them for sure, in my opinion, since we've last seen them. Of course, there has been a patch in between that moment as well, so that would have changed the things in terms of the way they play the game. And of course, the personnel choices seems to have changed as well. We've got the new World Cup item in R9 Ronaldo up front as well, so it's a slight improvement from the previous version that they've been using, but again, they just look very, very organized going forward, and defensively they look hard to break down as well, as we saw from the first game week. Seems just quite weird as well, Ryan, seeing R9 have hair. Yeah. Don't often sort of off-putting. sit back and see that. I mean, in that shadow, he has got no hair. Free kick played short. This is EXCEL on the front foot. Gorilla and Tom trying to find their way back into the tie. Jarzinho is down into that difficult area where Zambrotta is needed, and so is Pele to come back and defend. This is the dangerous point here with EXCEL. We saw in the first game how many corners they scored. They were threatening from every single one they got. They work a lot with Javi. Can they cook up something here to try and get an equaliser? It wouldn't surprise me if they've been working on something off the training ground. How about that one? Well, it dummies it. Not sure if you meant to or not. Finds Lucio. Problem is, there's just so many blue and luminous green shirts just standing in the way. They've forced EXCEL all the way back. Keep in mind that all these games here at the EA Sports Cup are one and done games. Here's Gorilla with Mbappe. Van der Sar just about does enough, and it's another corner. As you said, Ryan, stay tuned, because there could be something special happening here. Keep an eye on those players in the box that you can just see being manually controlled. I think one of them is Lucio towards the front post. There's Ollelito making a darting run. It's Tom taking the corner. This one's played short. All the way to the edge. They're now looking to play it in, maybe. Lucio, you want him in the box, not crossing the ball. Still with a Brazilian defender. He's done pretty well to pull out a ball roll there. Nearly a killer cross into the box. Still EXCEL in possession, still knocking on the door, still trying to find a way through it eventually. TG.NIP patient in their defending, and it's paid off. Yeah, they've done really well there to not pull out any defenders, just to sort of neutralise that attack there from EXCEL. Well, there's been a goal in the other game. As we said, SPQR sit out of this round, but Complexity, MGCF are in action. Complexity were unbelievable and unbeaten 4 weeks ago, but it's the Brazilian side looking to shake up that result. Crepaldi and Barreto, what a start for the Brazilians. They are so keen to be the first Brazilian team to find a way into the knockout stages.
That is a huge win, of course, playing against Complexity, who were incredible in the first week. We see a build-up here from Team Hullet. I think they're going to be slightly disciplined here, trying to build up. Oh, I've jinxed it, I was going to say maybe for last attack. But yeah, as I was saying, in the first week, Complexity were incredible going forward. And MGCF, they knew that if they were going to pose any chance of maybe pushing for that first spot or even going into the knockout stages, they needed to start off well today. And yeah, it's great to get an early goal in that game against Complexity.
Well, they did tease me, MGCF, that if the goals were flown and the dance moves might follow, what a start it is for those. Remember, they lost 3-1 last time they played Complexity. They're looking to get their revenge. And what that does for the table is everything we want, really, Ryan, for those at home. To keep it tight, to keep it really competitive. Added time of just 1 minute in this first half as Team Hullet Ninjas in Pyjamas get the last attack of the game. Jarzinho into the box. Van der Sar doesn't deal with it, but lucky enough, Vieira and Zidane does. Halfway through here, it is Ollelito and Levi that lead by a goal to 0.
Yeah, deservedly so as well. They started off really well. They were attacking in it as a unity anyway. But I think for EXCEL, I think Javi, their coach behind them, will be angry, to say the least. I think he won't be happy with the way they've been playing. They've been sort of giving up a lot of chances, what they did at the start of the half. But going forward, they didn't seem as progressive as they spoke about their intention to do so. So, yeah, they need to pick it up going into the second half. There's still a long way to go. As you can see there behind us, the input from Javi and from Renzo for Team Hullet, just to sort of give them, I guess, advice how to see out the second half.
Yeah, and I mean, two different coaches offer different perspectives, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. Of course, it's all dependent on how the game is going. Two sides of the spectrum, of course, one team winning, one team losing. But again, I think even despite the 1-0 lead, I don't think Renzo will be too happy in the sense that they could be 2 or 3 up, in my opinion.
Looks as if we're back underway for the second half here between both the games. As we said, we will keep you up to date with the other game, which is currently underway. Complexity, as we said, are trailing to MGCF Esports. There's been a lot of Brazilian fans in the chat supporting both SPQR and MGCF, hoping that there can be a South American side in the knockout stages. Keep in mind, those do unfold in January. There's 1 more week of action next week as we see Group C unfold here in London. And in that interview, which was quite interesting at the start of play today, Ryan, was that Tom sort of came out and said we need to be a bit more aggressive in the way they played. They haven't been able to do that yet, and it will be playing in their mind, won't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's very tough to do. So I think they sort of struggle transitioning the way they practice into the game day performances. But again, when you speak about aggressive players, Gorilla is arguably the #1 aggressive player with the way he builds up. He's very fast to transition from defense to attack, ruthless in front of goal. And again, Tom is very, very disciplined in his performance and his game style. So I guess maybe there's sort of a difficulty in working together with the way they play in 1v1s.
You said it in the build-up to this game. It was overall quite a positive weekend for EXCEL Esports. They had a player qualify for the Champions League round of 64. That was Tom. He will be competing in London next year. Fortunately, his teammate Gorilla couldn't join him, but regardless of that, it was a positive note for the English Esports Hall, and they're looking to take it into tonight's action. They haven't lost a game up to this point. They drew, as we said, against TG.NIP 4 weeks ago, 1-1. There has been another goal in the other game. Is it an equaliser for Complexity, or was it a double for MGCF? We'll jump over that when we can to give you the latest. I have to say, it's probably the worst time for SPQR to sit out, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Raring to play. The worst thing they could do is sit out and see the table get even further away from them, right? Then the pressure's naturally just more on them.
Of course, they'll be itching just to sort of rectify that first game week. They know that they're capable of a lot more. They performed well in other 2v2 setups together with different partners, but together last game week, they really let themselves down. So they'll be hoping that they can bounce back. It's still not mathematically over. But again, it's going to be a huge ask for them to try and get back into it.
It's been a very quiet first 20 minutes in this second half. EXCEL on the hump. for a way back into this time. See Hullet there pushed out on the left-hand side. Someone who's a bit more used to this left-hand side is Jarzinho. Just speaking of that, you played last week, Ryan, with your teammate Shells. Was there many changes in your team in terms of from what you used 4 weeks ago, or was it just those simple sort of World Cup upgrades that we saw come into the game over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, it was mainly a lot of the, as you said, the World Cup items that came into it. We used Yaya Toure ahead of Zidane, Lucio as well. But again, it's all personal preference. A lot of teams will use a similar set of players. It's always like a handful that are used in the tournaments. It's very rare you'll see a player sort of lean away from those handful of players. But again, yeah, it's all personal preference.
In terms of left back, is that Zambros just a bit better than Capdevila, or?
For me, no. I think Capdevila is very, very, very effective this year. See, we hear huge celebrations behind us as well. Eager to see which side that's gone to.
I think there could be a party going on, but for now there could be an equaliser. What a tackle from Lucio. That was Ollelito that came across there, and he had to put, or should say, take matters into his own hands there. A ridiculous block to keep EXCEL out. Into the pause menu we go again. There has been goals, and there has been some sort of roar or party or just noise coming from that Complexity MGCF game. As we said, MGCF took the lead in that game. We heard two different roars, Ryan. It could either be 3-0 or it could be 2-1
yep.
to one of the teams. We'll jump over there as soon as we can to show you those goals and those moments of exactly what just happened there. Because that game in itself could also be massive, because it could maybe dehinge this Complexity side if they are losing, Ryan, because they were so good 4 weeks ago. They remained unbeaten.
Yep, exactly. As you said, they were incredible, achieving 8 points out of the possible 12. And, of course, they would have liked to start it how they left off game week 1. But, again, I don't think a loss would be terrible for them as we see the goal here.
So it's Complexity, Ryan, that did get the goal back in the game. This is nicely done. Joksan and MaXe finding their way back in the tie. There's the reaction there. We heard some noise. And then there was even more noise, as it looks like it's gone the Brazilian way. Mbappe finds Pele on the edge of the box. A couple of step-overs. Of course it's the Brazilian scoring. And then look at this reaction. As we heard it, I'm sure that wasn't a good reaction on the side of Complexity. Yeah. But on the side of MGCF, they will be overjoyed. Not long left. They could be on to making a headline story already, Ryan, in round 1.
Yep, exactly. And even just coming back to this game, we saw a pause queued there. It looks as if EXCEL are pushing bodies forward. Around 15 minutes left to play. They need a goal. They scored late on as well, up against the same opponents in the first game week. So they could do it again, and they'll be hoping for their sake anyway. They can just push on a little bit and be more braver going forward, as Tom spoke about in the interview.
And it's clever there from Grillo. He tries to find the little dink pass into his teammate of Tom with Cristiano, should say Mbappe there. That's the table as it stands right now. This result and the result of MGCF shakes this table up even more so. Is there a double? Is there an opportunity to conclude the game? Good feet. Even better defended. Looks like this game's coming a little bit more open the last 10 minutes now. EXCEL know they have to push on, and if anything, just to stop TG.NIP getting that 2-point gain. Ball into the box, it goes, head of the way. Is it dealt with? Just about. And I think there is a slight technical pause needed in that game as it stands right now. We'll get back to it as soon as we can, but it's obvious on the screen there. They're not happy. They've not got time left on their side. But from what we saw in the last 5 minutes or so, Ryan, it was looking a bit more positive in the final third from EXCEL. As we said, I think there might be a little tactical pause there to get those issues sorted before we jump back into the game. But there is another game taking place just behind me there right now. MGCF against Complexity. It looks like it still is in the game.
Yep.
But what would that do to the table? What would that do to Complexity? Yeah. Their first defeat. We saw Focus find themselves on the ropes for quite a few rounds last week. They had to come and win in the end, and they did. That could happen for Complexity if they lose the first game. Yeah, and of course, they know that you don't want to be the team where you start off really well and then in the second week you sort of let it slip, because it's in their hands. They're in control to advance into the knockout stages. And the next game will be up against EXCEL, so that's going to be a tough game as well. So yeah, they know that they need to just try and get a goal back in this game. They still have just over 15 minutes left to play to try and equalize. But yeah, it's going to be a tough ask. Well, we are joining this game live now. As you can see, games side by side. There's a few admins over there. It looks as if we're probably going to restart the game from the last 10 or 15 minutes or so. For now, MGCF Esports, although they could be trying to hang on to a win here. Just looking back at the stats they had, they only scored 3 goals, Ryan, 4 weeks ago, conceding 4 by their own account. It wasn't great. I mean, going forward defensively, that's not bad. 4 goals across 4 rounds, 1 goal a game compared to many other teams here in the EA Sports Cup. But clearly, going forward, they had to offer more, and so far, they've already scored more than double, more than half the goals they scored. Here's Complexity, is there an equaliser? What a piece of goalkeeper movement that is from MGCF, just to keep Complexity out.
Wow, that is spectacular goalkeeper movement there. Maybe a slight lack of composure if you're being harsh on MaXe or Joksan, whoever it was that had that opportunity with R9. It was so close, maybe 5 or 6 yards out. You'd expect it to hit the back of the net, but they've got a corner here, and it's a great save to stop that. But again, that's a tough opportunity to go amiss there for Complexity. But again, there's still a little bit left to play in this game.
Another corner for them as well. What can we see here? Again, whipped in deep, Pullit's there. So is Cafu. But the ball falls its way back to 2v2 side of Joksan and MaXe. Their accolades need no explanation in 2v2. They have been a dominant team across past FIFA seasons. They're looking to bring that back this year. Get back to that glory status they know. There's Cafu all the way from fullback. MGCF fancied a cross into the box. They didn't waste possession. Somehow it falls back again. You can see where Complexity have gone forward in this game. There's just gaps starting to appear now. At the same time, they're very happy just to keep the ball, Ryan, and take time out of the game. If you're in this situation, are you on for another goal, or are you looking just to take minutes?
Of course, you have to take the opportunity when it comes, but you don't necessarily have to push too many bodies forward, trigger too many runs, and take risks where it's not needed to be taken. But I felt like that chance there where they tried to Trivela cross was something that they didn't need to take. It was a 50-50 cross there. But they still have possession as they go towards the corner flag. 2 minutes added on.
Not really what they want if you're a MGCF Brazilian fan, but 4 weeks ago, this team lost 3-1 to the hands of Complexity. 4 weeks on, the game has changed, and so has this team's performance, as Complexity's unbeaten streak will come to an end in round 1 here at the EA Sports Cup, and this table will shake up ever so nicely in Group A. What a start for the Brazilian side with it all to do.
Wow, that is a huge result. Coming into this week, they were placed 4th, only 1 win away from a qualification spot with 5 points. But again, that win is massive. It puts them level on points with Complexity on 8 points. But as we said, it's going to be a huge test for Complexity. How can they bounce back from their first loss of the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot you can look at. These are very, very, very fine margins we're talking about here at the EA Sports Cup. 4 weeks has happened. The game has changed. I know for a fact that Complexity landed last Wednesday. They have been in boot camp somewhere around the local shopping centre where we are in London. They've been playing, they've been grinding. He said, you know, Joksan said it's just been nice to practice somewhere.
Yeah.
But every other team's been practicing. I mean, you can speak from a pro yourself. Yes, it didn't go to plan last week, but in those 4 weeks, what are you doing?
It's tough because, of course, you have to balance the 1v1 aspects as well. So having that and trying to find games to play with other teams that are also practicing 2v2. So having a balance is, of course, very important. But we spoke about the group stage, the impact and the implications of that result. As it stands, Team Ollelito, of course, are 1-0 up against EXCEL. They'll be on 9 points. Complexity and MGCF on 8. EXCEL on 6. And SPQR Brazil still with 4 games left to play on 0. So they would need, 12 points. They would need 12 points.
And do I dare to ask how SPQR are feeling right now? They're out the back and they're thinking, okay, well, we came in today with the top team on 8 points. Then it went down to 6. Now we've got the top team on 8 points and 2 teams on 8 points right now. The gap is getting bigger. And, I mean, they've got to come into today, SPQR, and win every single game they play.
Yeah, I'm not sure what results they would have been hoping for. I'm guessing they would have potentially wanted a Complexity win. Just let them go, yeah. And then the rest of the games to be just draws, stalemates. But again, sometimes it just doesn't work in your favour. You have to do what's in your control. And yeah, they've still got 4 games to do it.
And last week, obviously, Manchester City, that group was moving. Focus did not turn up for a long time in it.
Yeah.
As a pro in that team scenario, are you ever looking at the table? Or is it just, this is our game, win?
initially, well, if I'm saying it from now, I'd say yes, of course. I think it's good just to pay attention to it. But at the time, we didn't. It's sort of a thing where you're just zoned in a tunnel vision on playing and getting what you need to be done. You need to win. But yeah, for us, we just couldn't get the wins across the board. It was just draws, constantly drawing. And of course, when you draw, of course, you stop your opponents getting points above you. But again, you're not progressing. So yeah.
And you said a lot of draws, and a lot of draws have happened here at the EA Sports Cup. I think last time this group played, only 2 games out of the 10, we saw more than 4 goals in, or more than 3 goals in it, I should say. There was a lot of low-scoring games. What is it that is so difficult about the one leg? Is it just there's just not enough time for some teams to really get going?
Exactly. A best of 1 is tough because it's very tough. You have to, of course, acknowledge how your opponents are playing, adapt to that as well, but there's not enough time to do that, and a lot of teams will be sort of risk averse and scared to push forward to take risks. So yeah, you're more likely going to result in those tighter games.
Yeah, incredible stuff. We'll be getting more insight from this man as the night does unfold here at the EA Sports Cup. We said that round 1 is half complete. MGCF won their game against Complexity. We are still waiting for the game just behind us, TG.NIP against EXCEL to restart. But for now, let's head down to someone else who's with us tonight, Dan Gaskin, who is joined by that winning team in MGCF.
Thank you, Brandon. Yes, I mean, MGCF, after an incredible victory over Complexity, I've got Daniel here to translate for me as well. Firstly, I just want to ask you about that game and the passion I just saw after that victory. What does it mean to you guys to take down Complexity there?
Ó, vitória incrível, mas o que a gente mais viu foi a paixão de vocês. O que vocês sentiram na vitória contra eles, Complexity?
I know that the game is very hard, but we study the players, the complexity, and we training the goals that we make. Is this in? Yeah.
It's nice, and you guys played so good. Talk me through the shades, because I haven't seen the sunglasses every week. I mean, I've been watching from the sides, but do you wear the sunglasses in game? Are you going to change it? Should you be wearing them in game?
Sem dúvida, vitória incrível para vocês, estão de parabéns. Quero saber um pouco dos óculos escuros aí, me explica isso. Eu tenho visto um pouco de óculos escuros, você usa durante o jogo ou só depois? Como é que é? Ou só depois das vitórias?
O óculos é mais com minha marca mesmo. Eu gosto de usar óculos para mostrar que eu quero deixar minha marca mesmo para todo mundo que está assistindo. Começar a usar também mais o óculos, mas eu só uso ele apenas depois dos jogos. Antes não. Quando eu estou jogando, eu jogo sem óculos mesmo. Só tiro para fazer uma resenha e dar uma risada pro pessoal que está assistindo.
Well, the shades are part of my brand, and why not? Maybe someone may feel inspired to wear them also, but I usually wear them after the games. Why not? A bit of swag, inspire people, that's it.
Definitely a lot of swag and an incredible victory for you guys. Congratulations. We're going to go back over, of course, to our casters who are going to try and get back into this game.
Thank you very much, Dan. And yeah, you can't not love Crepaldi and those sunglasses. It's the character and the swag that we need more of in FIFA Esports. So there's no reason why he wouldn't get them out. I mean, he's just beaten a team that has been unbeaten so far in the tour. We're happy to say that we're back underway in this game right now. There was a small technical pause, but all is good and all is resolved. EXCEL are still chasing this game. Fair play to TG.NIP there just for kicking the ball back to Tom and Gorilla. Time's not on their side, Ryan, but they did look better. And maybe this small break has done them a favour.
Yep, absolutely. Of course, stamina increase as well. So they're going to be pressing from the get-go with it, team press, constant press. They'll be hoping to create some chances. The Trivela was on there. It was a great block from Team Hullet Ninjas in Pyjamas just to stop that attempt at goal. But it's a panicked pass, is it? Oh, I thought it was going to make it through there with Capdevia, but it wasn't meant to be. But again, 5 minutes left to play for EXCEL. They need to go forward. They need to be brave, and they need a goal as soon as possible.
Mbappe driving forwards, a ball roll or two. Vieira well read. That was Levi that time, just standing strong. Reading up the passage play, but EXCEL, which you're rightly to say, Ryan, are all out. They have to be on the front foot. They are desperate for a goal. Another team that were unbeaten coming into play today are minutes away from getting their first loss next to their name in this table. As TG.NIP will add another 3 points next to theirs. They won't be far off. Pulling away into the knockout stage. This result, by the way, will put them top of the table. 9 points next to the name, or EXCEL going to snatch 2 points off them at the death here. Yaya Touré's back, so is Cafu. They're trying to get rid of it. Yaya Touré just about does. And with the break that was in the game, and all the press that was on them, Ollelito and Levi will top the table in this group. Yes, there's still 3 rounds left to play for them, but that's a perfect start for them in a must-win week.
Yes, it's a massive win for Ollelito and Levi. Again, they started off this game very, very hot offensively. It looked as if they were going to run away with the game, in fact, with the chances they were creating, but they dwindled a little bit as the game went on. There wasn't too much to separate the teams in the second half. But yeah, I'd say a 1-0 for NIP is fair in my opinion.
And just like that, tables changed already. Complexity were the leaders coming into it. Now TG.NIP are, and also there's only one unbeaten team left.
Yep, exactly. So it goes to show it's very tough at this level. Of course, everyone here is good enough to win against everyone. And as we said, there's a lot of important games coming up. And yeah, especially for SPQR, as we keep mentioning.
Yeah, as we said, there's 4 rounds still left of action here in London at the EA Sports Cup. Still so much to unfold as well. Only 2 teams will be finding their way through. But for now, let's head down to the host with the most, Richard Buckley.
Thank you very much, Brandon, Ryan, and also Gaskin for the interview midway through with always charismatic MGCF. Mike, a little bit prolonged round of round 1 right there. What's your instant thoughts coming out of the back of the 2 results?
Well, the group's been kind of shaken up now. Nobody that was necessarily a favorite got it done. Therefore, everybody is lined up. I'm sure we're going to look at that shortly, but it's a toss-up. That's what we're here for. It's a deciding day.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the results, the neutral you probably want MGCF to win, realistically, to try and create a little bit of that creativity and potentially catastrophic ending to the day for a number of these teams. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm really, really looking forward to seeing sort of how the next round especially starts to transpire. EXCEL, they've got a massive, massive game ahead of them.
You're reading a geology book or something? Or you dropped the meteorites to start the show? Look, I'm catastrophic.
I'm an educated man, okay?
I'm just saying.
How important is it now for a number of these teams to bounce back after disappointing results, in particular complexity?
No, because you don't have time. You don't have time. This is, everything's came up to this point, and therefore the eyes are on you, right? If you're going to make this happen, you're going to move on, or you're going to go home, and in most of these cases, you're going to have a long flight back.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've seen 2 games, 1 round of fixtures so far. Mike LaBelle was out taking some notes and getting this ready because it is time for your analysis presented by PlayStation. And this one is all about creating space in a 2v2 environment.
Yeah, we really want to stress the teamwork side and understanding that both you guys need to have certain alignments. The only goal that we saw in this team, Hullet, Ninjas in Pajamas, and just follow this runner here, because the key is trying to find gaps, and you're manually able to find gaps in a 2v2. You see that there, you pull it back, Jarzinho, extra pass is going to be made here, but it's all about finding those small penetrating angles and being able to resurface or recycle, and you tap it home, and it's just a gorgeous finish. And there really wasn't a lot in this game. It was a relatively defensive game, and as Brandon kind of said at the top of the show, with this group, this collective, that's to be expected.
Do you think it was even more important that they scored early?
Yes.
Team Hullet Ninja Pajama, what were it, 12, 13 minutes from the clip?
It makes it where you don't have to adjust your gameplay, and your opponent at some point, assuming that it stays 0-0 or 1-0, excuse me, in your favor, they have to shift, and therefore you can just adapt to that shift. And they have so much experience. You've got a lot of coaching staffs. You see coaches behind these players. They're going over all different details and tactical alignments, and you know I'm a nerd for this stuff. I'm here to break it down.
I know you are, and I know you're also the biggest NA fan in this room right now, and I'm sorry, we're going to have to go there. We're going to have to go to that NA game, Complexity Gaming, underway, beginning their second potential defense at the top of the table, but it didn't go to plan because MGCF rolled into town.
And you see Ruud Hullet there stepping across the body, the celebration, big hands everywhere. MGCF is really able to kind of shake up the group in this regard, but we do have a rebuttal from Complexity. Edge of the box, Ronaldo is working to see tons of those step overs. Green time finish across the body, but that wasn't all she wrote. As you see a corner kick, this is going to be a theme. A lot of set pieces are going to be the distinguishing factor between these opponents. Step over again, just to have that slight hesitation and be able to attack the space. It gives you a little bit of a boost, a little bit of a bonus when you're trying to attack that space. If you talk to the pros, they're going to go over that time and time again, and the goalkeeper movement is just spectacular. I'm telling you right now, and we could watch that one back on repeat, you don't have that in your locker, and the way they move the goalkeeper, the timing, in a key moment, we're talking 81st minute, that was the decider.
Absolutely, and it was the decider in a very tight game. MGCF 2, Complexity Gaming 1, and our featured matchup did finish Team Hullet Ninja in Pajamas edging out the Brits of EXCEL. I hear you at home asking, what do those results due to the table. I can tell you, Team Ollelito Ninja Pajamas, top of the tree, 9 points. We've got a really tight middle. Complexity Gaming, MGCF and EXCEL, all with 6 and 8 points. And SPQR, we've not seen them in action yet. They're going to be getting underway very, very shortly indeed. Must win games. Every game is must win.
I'm feeling cynical. Why don't they just make a run for it? We haven't seen it happen yet. They didn't get any points on the board last time we saw them in action. Why don't they get all the points today?
Well, there are upcoming games. It's going to be Complexity Gaming versus EXCEL. On the other side, it's going to be SPQR looking to pick up points for the first time here in the EA Sports Cup against Team Ollelito Ninjas in Pajamas. Mike, quick thoughts before we head out to a break. What are you expecting from the upcoming games? Do SPQR break the duck? Do they get points?
They're not going to go back-to-back weeks where they don't get points. Now, it's a matter if they're getting the points in this game. But I'm here for all the drama. Like I said, I'm happy to be a little bit toxic. Mix it up. Get all the points. Wrap it up. Shake up the group.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. You do not want to go anywhere at home because SPQR are in action. And you know what? If they are going to get a win and they're going to get points in the EA Sports Cup, I've got to be there commentating this game. Join me and Brandon Smith on the other side of this break to see if they can take down Team Ollelito Ninja in Pajamas.
The EA Sports Cup is presented by PlayStation Tournaments.
Compete in PlayStation Tournaments. Win your share of cash prizes, FIFA points, and more as you face off in FUT and club competitions. Sign up for weekly and monthly tournaments on your PS4 console or at compete.playstation.com to test your skills on the pitch. Think you have what it takes?
Well, welcome back to the EA Sports Cup for round 2, joined by Richard Buckley. Rich, you just choosing which games you want to commentate on. You just look at the list and go, right, I'll host for 4 games and I'll jump on comms for round 2, is it? Or?
Look, I do what I want, okay? It's the Richard Buckley show. If I want to commentate, I commentate. If I want to host, I host. If I want to go back and get some more chili con carne, I'll go and get some more chili con carne, okay? This is where we are at. And I had to commentate this game because SPQR are in action, and I want to be here if they pick up some points.
It could be the last time we see them as well, Rich. Yes, there will be an action for more rounds today, but why we say that is because they've got so much work to do. They're on 0 points right now. They don't need us to tell them, Rich. It was a terrible outing 4 weeks ago. They're on 0 points, and they would have seen that round 1 unfold. The gap is getting bigger.
I also, they would have looked at that game and gone, MGCF, our South American compatriots from Brazil, have just picked up points against Complexity, who were flying at the top of the table. What's saying that we can't do the same? What's saying that we can't go and get 3 points and start to make one of the greatest turnarounds that we've seen in FIFA esports history?
And look, last week we did see some shocks as well.
We did,
and a number of upsets. This is what we want at the EA Sports Cup. You can just see behind us, we are near enough ready to get into the games. What an incredible 2 games we have in front of us. This game in our focus view of TG.NIP, SPQR, and an EXCEL will play Complexity in a game that could also change this table in so many different ways. At the start of play today, there was 3 unbeaten teams. Now there is only 1. And potentially at the end of this, there might not be any more unbeaten teams left. It is The bottom of the table versus the top of the table. SPQR against TG.NIP. And from that first game, Richard, of what you saw from Ollelito and Levi, you got to say you were impressed.
Oh, I certainly was. I think EXCEL struggled to create something clear-cut in the final third. They struggled to really penetrate that Team Hulk Ninja in Pyjamas defense, but everyone is beatable. I think we've seen that over the course of the 2 weeks. The only team that, I'd say 2 weeks in terms of the matches that have really mattered, where we've eliminated teams and teams have gone through, the only team that's really stood out for me in terms of a dominant force was Riders in week 5 alongside Fnatic, who did go through. So I'm really, really intrigued to see if a team can step out from the rest of the group and make a mark here tonight.
One thing that hasn't been in their favour, Richard, for SPQR is goals scored. They only scored 2 goals across their 4 games 4 weeks ago. It has to change today. They conceded 8. It could be 9 conceded in the tournament. Jarzinho, Mbappe, one more. Pele! Curse to the commentator or not. That is 9 goals conceded and the worst possible start to a game. They have to win. They have to win every game today.
And when I spoke to a lot of the teams coming into today, the sentiment was around SPQR, look, if they can start to perform, that's dangerous because they start taking points away from the rest of the teams. There's almost extra incentive for Team Hulk Ninja in Pyjamas right now to get 3 points against SPQR that leaves them marooned at the bottom of the table, but also picks up that really important 6 points that they wanted to get out the first 2 games to then try and solidify themselves at the top.
And look, the gap is starting to move. Obviously, as we said, that table will change because EXCEL are playing complexity as it currently stands. We'll keep you up to date with that game. And these MGCF that sit out in this round, it could be 2. Jarzinho, Levi David, trying to find his way past Lucio. He's just dealing with the pressure.
They just can't deal with it.
SPQR will be feeling right now. Travel 14 hours plus probably over to the UK, knowing that you have to turn up and win every single game. Must not be a very nice feeling.
Not only that, but the also element of pressure in game that we're seeing right now from Ollelito and Levi Weerd, that they're putting them under. They're not allowing them to play out the back. They're not allowing them to have easy passes, whether it's to the fullback or into midfield. There's been 2 or 3 occasions already in the opening 18 minutes where Ollelito, who's your darker icon, and Levi Weerd, who's the lighter icon, above the players right now, they're pressing really, really tight and just forcing mistakes out of SPQR Brazil.
20 minutes in. They are on top of this game, and you have to say, them playing in that first round, Rich, and just getting that win under their belt. They're in a bit of momentum at the moment. There's a winning feeling in that camp. They're the only team unbeaten still in this group. Capdevia, SPQR,
Chance.
looking to find a way back. Eusebio just bundled to the ground there as Vieira comes out to save the day. Massive block at the back. But more of that has to come. Get into those areas. Start asking questions of TG.NIP.
Just force them under pressure. Force them to make mistakes. Force them into unsavoury periods of the game. Because at the moment, it is very, very one-way traffic.
Red there, Cafu. Pull it, finds the feet, and then Mbappe is pushed out to this right-hand side. Normally Jarzinho's in there, looking to cause havoc. Good idea there, Levi to Ollelito, just off the pace. It's the Brazilian icon. As you just see there, just a hand come through on the SPQR cam of the coach just saying, just calm down a little bit. It's all a little bit rushed, it's all a little bit frantic. Just like this. Pele. They find a second, it's going to be a terrible start. Hanging on again.
I've got a question as well for everyone at home watching in the chat right now. It's a very simple question. Who do you think is going to score the next goal? Is it going to be SPQR or is it going to be TG? All I want in the chat, a TG or an SP. 2 letters, very simple to type. Let me know who you think is going to score this next goal.
Yeah, get involved in the conversation. No, we can see you guys home. We appreciate you getting involved in the conversation. Here at the EA Sports Cup Group A, we are here for. Only 2 teams can qualify themselves into the knockout stages in January in this $250,000 2v2 FIFA tournament. Speaking of The chat, Richard, I'll let you keep an eye on it. It seems
lot of Team Hullet Ninja in pyjamas.
A lot of TGs, but there is some SPQR fans in there. There's been a lot of Brazilian fans in this chat, Richard. Just spurring on a Brazilian team because they haven't had a Brazilian team. We haven't seen one qualify as it stands for the knockout stages.
And I think when you look at so much quality from South America, Brazil especially, that is a little bit surprising that they've not had that dominant team coming out.
Ronaldo, SPQR need the Brazilian icon to really save them now in this tournament. Just not the same wavelength there. Speaking of the other game, as it currently stands, for those wondering, it is 0-0 between EXCEL and Complexity. Both have just come off the back of their first defeat in the tournament in round one. That will be an even bigger game.
And that is as it stands right there. Team Hullet Ninja Pyjamas top, 12 points, 3 wins, 3 draws. Every other side in here has suffered a defeat. Currently 0-0, I should say, 1 point apiece for Complexity and EXCEL. Just talking about Brazilian players, Ajax probably went closest last week in sort of getting that spot with PhD and Resende. Right to the final game. They had it in potentially their hands to go through.
Oh, this is nice.
Oh,
referee.
Must have been offside.
Must have just been offside. You're right there, Mbappe. Half time between these two. You can see the score on your screen. Just so we can see that table one more time. It pretty much tells you the story, Richard. If Complexity or alternatively EXCEL, one of them two, can just find a way forward to get a win, it's done.
Yeah, no, it certainly
SPQR.
is. Yeah, SPQR, I mean, at the moment, they've got 9 points left to play for after this game. It just won't really be enough. They can't catch Team Hullet Ninja Pyjamas if they lose this game. And if Complexity Gaming do pick up a win, even a draw, it's almost impossible with the really poor goal difference that they have. So they know what they play for. They know the permutations. They don't need us to tell them. They know what they have to do.
They can still play such a part, though.
They can ruin people's
Even if they do
seasons.
get knocked out, Rich, now, they are still in action for 3 more games today. And just because they're here and they might not be through, doesn't mean they're just going to let people just brush them aside.
Lie down. Absolutely not.
Got SPQR to play for, a team that's been a talent factory for many years in Brazil, bringing through some of the biggest names you would have seen. I can assure you, their fans will be spearing them on at home as well. Could be 2. Jarzinho. Vieira, right place, right time. Well defended there by Nathan SR.
You just saw that substitution as well being introduced for SPQR. It was Eusebio off and Alvarairan on as that attacking influence in the final third.
What a foot hero he is as well. His World Cup upgrade.
Pace.
Unbelievable.
Pace and pace. Especially in this current meta with the recent patch, it is so hard to stop him when he gets going at full pelt.
SPQR need a hero. Need a miracle. There was somehow could find their way through. As it stands for TG.NIP. In that interview, she said they wanted 6 points minimum. They might have that after 2 rounds. It's superb again. Ollelito potentially with the final nail in the coffin for SPQR to say you will not be going through to the knockout stage, and unfortunately it will be a bit of a miserable flight home back to Brazil.
You just saw that reaction as well from the two of them, especially Ollelito. I think they know how important that goal is. It not only solidifies the lead, it not only gives you that extra cushion, but it solidifies your place at the top of the table by a little bit as well, by a win. Complexity Gaming currently on 9 points. It gives them that extra just relaxation at the top.
As we said, there is another game taking place right now. SPQR, there might be one Brazilian team out of the race, but there's one that is sitting out this round. MGCF Esports, they're on 8 points.
What a result that is for
them. And this
draw,
as it stands between EXCEL and Complexity, it is still a draw. It's in the second half. There has been no goals yet. That
best case scenario
is, you're right, Rich, it's the best possible situation for them.
They're kicking back right now, feet up.
And I've got a better one for you, Rich. They come into SPQR in round 3. There's 2 ways that goes. Could just be the momentum of that winning feeling in the camp for MGCF, or on the flip side for SPQR saying, we're not brushing aside for Brazilians.
If we're going to win one game, let's win this one. Let's get the pride. Let's
stop the other Brazilian teams finding their way through.
Let's get them 3 points on the board.
Definitely is a storyline there. Mbappe, SPQR, chance! Massive save, and the Sart. Will not find a better chance than that.
I think that has to go in if SPQR want to make a turnaround. 68 minutes on the clock. Team Hullet Ninja in Pyjamas just looking to kill the clock and take all the momentum out of that last attacking opportunity from SPQR.
Final 20 minutes. So far, so good as well. Not conceded a single goal in these 2 rounds of matches out of TG.NIP. They could find a third! Yes, they can! They're on cloud 9 at the moment, these two. Ollelito and Levi.
What a goal. What a finish. It's so clean, it's crisp, it's concise. Nearly perfect from Team Hullet Ninja in Pyjamas.
Yeah, well, we said MGCF is sitting out in this game, and FBarreto is now currently joined by Dan Gaskin. How's he feeling?
Yeah, obviously watching with a keen eye right now. Thoughts on the game going on behind you?
E aí, que tal? O que você está achando do jogo? Algum comentário?
Both teams are aggressive and attacking better, but in the game, NIP are better, of course.
Way better. I mean, it's 3-0. Just quickly, you wanted a draw in this game, didn't you?
Você queria empate, né?
Yeah, the draw is better for us, but we're gonna win.
I mean, you guys have been playing incredible. Best of luck when you do get into it. We'll head back into the game.
Thank you, Dan, and good to hear from FBarreto there. I mean, it's an interesting insight, isn't it, Ian, from the pros that are just sort of lurking around the pit, looking at results, praying for all these certain storylines to unfold. One thing that I wasn't surprised about there was, are they feeling sad at all that the fellow Brazilians have been knocked out of the tournament? As we said, they play them next. SPQR will play MGCF next in an all-Brazilian matchup. Ollelito, he said he's on cloud 9. It's on top of the world right now. Dancing in the box. I mean, Mbappe has been unbelievable.
And it's the new promo item as well, the Killing Mbappe, 93 rated. Road to the World Cup. I'm not surprised. Is the price tag that he is, like 4.5 million coins at the moment. He just gives you so much. He's quicker, he's got more strength, he's better on the ball, he can finish better. Don't know, even a lot of icons, never mind other golden special items in the game. He is special, and he has to be in every team.
They might be 3-0 down, but they're not letting up. Our SPQR still playing for pride, still playing to try and find some sort of way back into this game. They just cannot find a way through. But Rich, this is the storyline. 2 games played for TG.NIP, 4 goals scored, 0 conceded, top of the table.
Very, very good day so far for Team Hullet Ninja in Pyjamas. And I think what they're looking to do is just wrap this group up before we get into those round 7 and sort of those really late matches. It's just been really, really smooth sailing. On the other side of the screen, anything but smooth. It's a rough tide right now for both Complexity and EXCEL.
Yeah, we'll stick with this one to see the closing stages here. 0-0 in a must-win game for these two as well, just to get a bit of direction back in this group and in this league. Sort of mini-group table, I should say. EXCEL looking for their way through. It's a corner. Both just came off the back of a defeat in round 1. Desperate to get back to a positive mindset in the camp for both of these teams.
They're dangerous from corners.
What can happen here? How much has Coach Javi been helping in the build-up to this from corners? In it goes, Hullet in the air. Vieira comes close, it's another corner.
And the real scary thing is of how many different variations of set pieces that they have. Whether you go short, whether you go to the back post, whether you're looking at a driven one into the box.
Played short again. What they're looking for this time, EXCEL. Ronaldo a couple of step overs. I mean, that would be one hell of a way to cross the ball into the box. Another corner. Last 15 minutes.
Very little goalkeeper movement from Complexity Gaming, so I wouldn't be surprised if this goes direct into the box. Now you start to see a little bit of movement, but still there could potential be, I think it's Patrick Vieira maybe, in and around that penalty area.
Corner played short. All the way around the box, back to R9 now. This is Tom. Tries his best to dance around the likes of Zidane and Lucio that were standing in the way. I mean, there's been a lot less goals than there was last time these two did play.
Chance?
3 weeks ago, there was 4 goals. But still, the result was the same at 2-2.
I really think if he plays that on the floor, there could be an opportunity to slide him in. But he went for that dinked ball, L1 triangle.
Complexity.
So big.
Could be on here, Rich. Good feet. Even better feet. Oh, no! What a save. Van der Sar. He didn't know much about it. But a lovely bit of trickery there from Complexity. So close to finding their way through. There must have been a teeny bit of goalkeeper movement. There's smiles all round for EXCEL. We heard there was a goal, sorry, Richard, in the other game. Right now, if we'll get to see, I think it could be a full-time result alongside that. The storyline is this, though. SPQR, unfortunately, have crashed out of the EA Sports Cup.
He did move him to the near post. He moved Edwin van der Sar and guided that space at the near post. You can just see in the back of the shot there, Ollelito and Levi Weerd getting up off their station. That is a full-time result. They have picked up the 3 points in their particular matchup. The goalkeeper movement is exceptional. I have to talk about the dribbling, though, because it was sort of great dribbling. Reversal has to go round the corner. Defending was... We'll not talk about it, because he sort of just moved out the way. He didn't mark the space, but then he focused on the goalkeeper movement. He shuffled across. I believe it's Tom who's got control of that goalkeeper, and you just saw the smile coming across from him. He knows how important that was.
Yeah, the timing of it was everything there from EXCEL. Otherwise, it would have been 2 games played, 2 defeats. Complexity have now got their opportunity from a corner. So maybe show us exactly what they could do. Hullet whips it in towards the back post. Cafu, acrobatic defending there, just to keep that out, but it's still not fully dealt with. Maybe this time it will be. Well played there by Hullet.
You've got numbers going forward, potentially. EXCEL, they go for the slower approach. I was just looking at the mini-map. It could have been potentially a 3-on-3, but it's a high-risk game as you see that driven pass straight back into the hands of Complexity. Is that going to keep in?
Ball forward. Van der Sar.
Scary.
What are you doing? Van der Sar, what are you doing? Complexity might get a gift! Well, we just said how good they were with the goalkeeper movement that time. I've got no idea what happened.
It's the ball down the line. You've then, as the keepers come out, you get manual control over him. It's all on you. He's looked to dink it long, I think. Has... EXCEL. It's a mistake. It's simple. It's a mistake. You've made a mistake at the back. You've given the goal. And now we can just have a little listen there from them. Let's have a look at that goal again. I'll try and break it down for you. As it's come down the line, Tom picks up the ball. He's looked to play relatively long. It's a good touch from R9 and just a simple finish from the goalkeeper. And you see Tom there with that reaction as it happened.
Well, they're sort of smiling, but inside they'll be...
You're crying.
they'll be crying there.
If you're not laughing, you're crying.
I mean, Rich, in terms of what that does now to the table here, if I'm correct, it will put Complexity
on 11.
On 11. You can see it on screen now. And for EXCEL, they've got 2 games left, Rich.
It eliminates SPQR, absolutely. They're out. They can no longer go through. With only 9 points left to play for. EXCEL will be marooned 5 points off Complexity Gaming with 6 points to play for. So really it puts that distance between Team Hullet and Ninja in Pyjamas alongside Complexity Gaming and the rest of the pack. The only runner still in the race, you would say, is MGCF, who could potentially make a run with 9 points left to play for, but it's a really, really big moment in the EA Sports Cup here in Group A.
Yeah, we're just looking across the rest of the fixtures left, Richard. EXCEL will sit out of this next round, so they'll have a short break. The game that they're going to have to sit back and watch, Richard, is going to be that one. TG.NIP Complexity, first against second in the group. I mean, I'm pretty sure they'll be hoping that...
A draw.
You would say a draw.
Probably Team Hullet Ninja Pyjamas to win, actually.
I would say that, yeah. 15 points there to be on. Then Complexity have tasted a second defeat that way. There's a lot of permutations that will unfold,
Well,
as we said.
I think
and the last two games, sorry, Richard, EXCEL will take on SPQR and then finish the day with MGCF, the Brazilian double to conclude Group A for them.
I think it's very simple, really. EXCEL have to win out. They have to get maximum points, which would be put them on 12. Complexity Gaming, if they go on to win this game, have 11. That's no one's taking points off them. 11 points is their total, so you can't drop points if you want EXCEL to go through, and you also need Complexity Gaming to lose out from this point. If you are an EXCEL fan and you want them to go through, MGCF is the dark horse in this group as it stands, because they've got a game in hand. They'll have 3 matches left to play for, with a potential of 9 points after already beating Complexity in the opening match.
That timing of the goal there, Rich, has been
detrimental.
Terrible for EXCEL. Complexity were alert, they were ready. Ready to pounce on that error from Van der Sar. With 2 minutes left, they might have lost their opening game to the Brazilian side MGCF, but they're back to winning ways. They're back in second spot in the group. As it stands, as we said, the pressure will build for EXCEL. And even MGCF Esports, to be brutally honest, they could be on for a second if they can find this ball through. Added time of 2 minutes, there's no need for them to go and get another goal, will they? Eusebio around the corner, great goalkeeper movement again. Ooh. Somehow cleared off the line near enough by Captain Villa. That would have been a destined goal. And full time here, narrow margins, mistakes being the difference on the biggest of stages.
Well, they know Complexity how important 3 points against your arguably closest rival coming into this game was. You get the win, it's on a mistake. What do we always say? Games are won through small margins, moments of magic or moments of madness.
But no further to what you've just seen there. Complexity, we know their rich history in 2v2, but for EXCEL, a side that got 2 top 8 finishes last year in probably arguably the 2 biggest 2v2 tournaments. Right now, 6 points, 2 Brazilian teams to play. They're going to sit out of this next round, look back on it, and just have their fingers crossed that that TG Complexity game can just go in their favour, because it's not looking good at the moment.
Results have to go their way, and really, as we come into round 3, I think this is the earliest a group has somewhat been decided. However, MGCF are waiting in the wings, and they can still disrupt the top 2.
Yeah, they can, Rich, and as you said, they will be feeling good. They've had a slight break, but they did beat Complexity there. Group A slowly but surely shaping up here as we find our top 2 teams to get to the knockout stages. One man that will be very happy is Joksan, and he's joined by Dan Gaskin right now.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Joksan happy for 2 reasons. One, I'm not Carl Walker, so he said the height difference is a lot better, so at least we've got that. But of course, shaky game, but then you get that final goal. What did it mean to you to grab that one?
Nah, it means everything to me. 3 points is huge in this format, and really happy. You know, maybe we didn't deserve that goal, but we missed like 2 1v1 chances, so yeah, I'm really excited.
And it was a bit of a gift, that goal, but when those opportunities come, you have to take them, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, we pressured them from the back, so, you know, it wasn't really like a total gift, but yeah.
Yeah, you put the pressure on, you made them make that mistake. Now, going up against Team Ollelito next, a massive game for both of you. Thoughts on them?
They're a good team, but we're going to play how we've been playing, and the first game that we played them, we tied, and we feel like we should have won, so it's going to be a good game.
And then finally, where are you finishing in this group, first or second?
Hopefully first, but if not, we'll take second.
There we go. That's, you've heard it from him, first or second. Cheers, Joksan. Let's go back over to, of course, the boys on the floor.
That's back down on the floor.
A little workout, a light workout.
What you don't know is it's about 10 yards that way.
Nah, a little more than that.
15.
All right.
Mike, I were casting that last round of fixtures. You were down here in the pit. What are you taking away from those first 2 matches?
Well, there's going to need to be a rebuttal here. If you are a fan of EXCEL, a fan of Gorilla, a fan of Tom, I don't know if I love seeing the smiles. I heard you up there. Those were smiles that included pain. Yeah. Maybe so. It was a mistake out of the back. Great capitalization. Up to that point as well, they've done such a good job with some of those key moments with the goalkeeper movement. It's got to be credited. And I felt relief in that interview with Dan. When you're talking to Joksan, that sounded as if that was relief, because they had messed up a couple finishes in the previous affair as well.
Especially after you lose your first game, you come straight back into it. No break, no time off. You're into a big game against, we always say it's important to beat your closest rivals. They've just almost eliminated them from the tournament.
Yeah, it's 2 losses now to get things kick-started for EXCEL, and now they're in that same situation. It's must-win territory from here on out, and you might even need some help.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we start to see the pit taking shape and players taking rest. On the left-hand side of the screen, we've got a great game that's going to be underway very shortly indeed. I'm just looking at them, MGCF against SPQR. On the other side, Mike, it's going to be a cracker. We're going to get to it very, very shortly indeed. I'm intrigued to see, do we start to see a bit of a streak now after losing the first game, winning the second game from Complexity Gaming?
Well, what hasn't happened today that typically we talk about a little bit, we haven't seen draws. And if you're exchanging of wins, then it does allow for a lot of movement, and then we have this upper table affair, is what you've kind of been teasing here, this fixture, shall we say, with Complexity and with the likes of Team Ollelito and NIP.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've seen 2 rounds of fixtures, and it was a really, really great game that we just were watching. Mike LaBelle has picked out some of his best moments here in the analysis presented by PlayStation.
And the reason that Team Ollelito and Ninjas in Pajamas have been so good, they've been the most efficient team this far, and I don't even think it's close at this point. They're doing such a good job with the penetrating passes, the off-the-ball movement, the timing. Look how they pull both of these defenders here. They're going to slightly step. It creates a gap. You're anticipating that gap. You're already aligned. You're on the same page. You see the target man. Watch him slot just in behind that first center back. You have that splitting opportunity. Pele's never going to miss. And we're seeing this time and time again. This is not as if it's a one-off. Those extra passes, those key moments, taking them, grasping them, and being able to be clinical, be efficient. You have to take your chances.
You certainly do. And they also, we've seen 2 matches now, they've scored early.
And they've scored similar goals as well. They have the best. If you watch that game back, they had multiple goals. Again, that extra pass, and it's all about the off-the-ball movement and that alignment. And that means they're practicing together. They're on the same page. They're coaching with Renzo in the back, and they're looking the most collectively as a team.
So I want to ask you very shortly, before we get into the highlights of the game, about Team Ollelito Ninjas in Pajamas. Both of their 2 players were unsuccessful in the recent qualifiers over the weekend. Have they come into today with a point to prove to establish themselves still at the very top level?
Absolutely. And if you're a fan of the esport, I think you're following Ollelito, you're following Levi, and you do have a big expectation, both for them individually, and then, of course, when they come together as a partnership. We talked about it a lot last year. They were 2 of the individuals that were at all the FIFA finals, but they didn't take anything away from that. And it kind of sits with you, a little chip on the shoulder. And ECL, now that hurts your heart.
Yeah, just like when you're not here, Mike, it hurts my heart as well. Well, we've had 2 rounds of fixtures so far. We can have a look at the full-time results. You saw the Complexity Gaming 1-goal win right there. We caught the ending of it, so we don't need to show you it again. It was, I'm sure you'll find it on social media, tweeted by everybody at the moment. They picked up a 1-0 win against EXCEL. On the other side of it, Team Ollelito Ninjas in Pajamas, 4-0.
Dominant. And this is not a high-scoring group. We keep saying that, but it's truthful.
I mean, they're correcting us right now, Team Ollelito Ninja Pajamas, because they're scoring all of the goals. What does that matter to the group? Mike LaBelle, talk me through it, because we have had our first elimination, SPQR, out.
They're out, they're dusted, they don't have a point yet. I still believe in them getting some points on the board today. But I will say this with TG and NIP, when I interviewed them before the tournament got underway, they said at 6 points, maybe 7, and you're going to be clear. They've got the 6 points today. They're on 12 total, and they have now overtaken Complexity. They're at the top. They're leading the charge. They're the captain of the ship.
Well, we've got our next game that's going to be getting underway very, very shortly indeed. It's going to be the top 2 going underway. Complexity Gaming. Mike LaBelle's got a huge smile on his face because he's also in the casting booth for this next one against Team Ollelito Ninjas in Pajamas. MGCF against SPQR, the Battle of Brazil going ahead. Do SPQR get their first points of the board against
I think they're going to spoil
Brazilian
right here. I think they're going to spoil some points here. I feel it. There's some sort of internal rivalry there. I could see a draw. I don't know if I'm going to say that they're going to overtake and get a win, but that's still taking points off the board.
Well, they've got 2 huge games. We've got the Battle of Brazil. We've got our featured match, the top 2 in action. Do not go anywhere, because the other side of this break, Mike LaBelle is on commentary with Dan Gaskin to take you through all of the action.
Welcome back, everyone, to the EA Sports Cup as we have a very exciting matchup on our hands. Mike LaBelle, pleasure to be alongside you once again. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, and I've got a new category for your look here.
What's that?
You're seasonal
Okay.
and swaggy.
Nice.
Little double S. I like this a lot. The more I see this on camera, I'm sure the chat agrees. This is a good look right here. I can't pull off the turtleneck sweater. It doesn't work with me the same way.
I was worried that he was going to go the other way with that, but alas, we have made it. And as I alluded to, we have an incredible game for you. We have the titans of this group battling up against one another. It has been such an amazing day so far, Mike, but these two teams, surely one of them is going to take the top spot.
And it's got to be said, when you're looking at TG and NIP as a collective right now, not only are they scoring goals, but they're not conceding anything. They've looked the strongest of any of the teams thus far up to this point. So now you ask, can Joksan, can MaXe from Complexity upset that? Can they turn the tables a little bit and then regain that first place? Remember, they came in undefeated.
Certainly from what I've seen so far, both teams looking extremely confident and looking to try and top this group. When we looked at who was going to be topping the group right at the start of the day, obviously Complexity was sitting comfortable. It was a little bit shaky though. They might have even dropped points in the previous game if it weren't for a mistake. Do you think that would have taken a lot of pressure off them getting that late goal?
Getting the late goal was huge, and especially considering that everything's been good, defensively, offensively, final third, but they've had a couple issues with finishing. And the longer you play in a competitive atmosphere, if you don't get that opportunity, you start overthinking the 1-2s, overthinking the extra pass, overthinking that goalkeeper movement, and we saw that start to happen. So I'm sure that they feel gifted that they've received that present at the end of the last matchup versus EXCEL.
Well, here we go. We are underway then. Complexity versus Team Hullett-NIP. And a chance to put yourself and solidify yourself at the top of the table for now, but still plenty of twists and turns to come, I'm sure. Complexity going to be kicking from left to right in the dark blue Complexity strip, and then TG.NIP from right to left in the all-white kit. Already some pressure from Complexity, but quite rightly so, playing this one safe and playing the possession game.
And I expect these guys to look to fill it out a little bit. If you've been watching the Team Hullett and Ninjas in Pajamas, they look for those extra passes. And that's really been a big key to their goal-scoring presence and how they're finishing. You might have seen a couple of the breakdowns now. They are so good at finding these penetrating angles and being able to open up key areas of the virtual pitch.
TG.NIP at the moment just chasing shadows, but finally a pass goes amiss, but then it's regained here by Pele. Into Ronaldo, gets away from one, but it's a fluffed shot in the box. And it will amount to nothing. And now TG.NIP can look to break here. Plenty of space on this left-hand side. But again, patience is a virtue here.
And I'm sure they like to have that back right place with that outside of the boot elastico. Just a mistimed finish.
Mbappe now. Needs a little bit of help. Gets it from Hullett. But again, you're not shooting from there. Or are you with Zidane? No, Pele! No, it's just wide.
And that's much more advanced. Again, if you took that down on a breakdown, you have that resurface, you have the cancellation. They purposely over-showcase the Trivela angle, which opens up a lane of space for the middle pass, and then you have that low-driven into Pele. It's just a beautiful piece of FIFA expression. I'm talking FIFA artwork.
It's one of the things I love about 2v2. There's the extra dynamic that is added, the dummy runs you speak of, faking angles, faking shots, and hoping that your partner can pick up on that and take advantage of it when they do receive the ball.
It's something that you really only see in FIFA at the higher levels, not necessarily just pro, but if you're going through the weekend league, if you're competing in those last games to get elite, where you're going to see a lot of runs that are only made to see if they can pull players out of position.
Well, pressure here being applied by Complexity, similarly to what we saw in the previous game against EXCEL. It will end up as a corner. 16 minutes in, and it is Complexity who are on top right now. We'll have to see whether they can make anything off this one, Mike.
They've been dangerous from the corner kicks. Haven't converted just yet, but they've definitely put them on frame.
Whips it in, back post, anyone there? No, it's denied, and they're hoping to be able to hold on to it. Vieira. Pele now gets hold of it, twisting and turning on the edge of the box. Does get support from Hullett. Probably not going to shoot just yet, looking for another pass, as Complexity so often do. But once more, NIP are on top of things and making sure they're tracking those runs.
It's great defending there. Didn't get baited. A couple step overs. You saw the pullback, looking for the extra pass, or even if you can force one of the defenders to make a misstep.
Again, it's a poor pass that Complexity will take advantage of. Mbappe into Pele. Surely there's space here, but again, can you wrestle it back? No. And there are chances here for Complexity. There are openings, but they just aren't able to put it into that final third and make it count just yet.
Maybe some good fortune there as well for TG.NIP. when you're looking at the defensive area. There was opening for a back heel. They kind of went for it, didn't quite go through. You had that cancellation of the McGeady spin. Again, didn't quite push through. A lot of bodies in the box. But that came off a mistake, and that's the worst feeling when you concede, knowing that you kind of put somebody into an advantageous position.
Well, that's the whole point of 2v2s, and one of the hardest things about 2v2s is knowing that when you make a mistake, you are also making a mistake for your teammate, and that blame will most certainly be piled onto you. I can only imagine how some of the players feel when they do make huge mistakes that can change games, similarly to what we just saw in the EXCEL game versus Complexity in those final moments. But 26 minutes gone. Remember, just one leg of FIFA here in the EA Sports Cup. So we're going to see people going at it, but a draw wouldn't be the worst result for these two teams as they are sitting in first and second at the moment, but the over-the-top through ball is easily gathered up by Vieira.
Vieira has just become a household name. Same with Lucio, running that center back position. And if anything thus far, we've seen a lot of success from Complexity, kind of overloading that left wing, going against Cafu of all people, but that's been the matchup. Mbappe versus Cafu, Mbappe's been winning.
Well, there's the table as it stands, but now a chance, but again it's denied. But maybe from the header, Mbappe manages to just poke one home. And just like that, on the back foot, TG.NIP take the lead 1-0.
And I thought they were going to be kicking themselves a little bit on the finish. They do get a deflection, of course. It rebounds, right player, right time. The passing is superb, maybe even sublime. But the finish, maybe a chip shot to challenge the goalkeeper. It does bounce back favorably in this case, but if you wanted to finish that, maybe walking it around, we could have seen a fake shot. A lot of those ball rules don't work with the goalkeepers the same way that they usually would throughout previous FIFA installments.
Could be a chance for an instant response, though, but that's not going to work so well in the latest patch. As Van der Sar gathers it easily, you can see there the table and how it looks. NIP now up to 15. This is brilliant news for EXCEL because the only chance they have of getting through this group now is if TG.NIP absolutely walk through it, and EXCEL can slowly but surely climb their way back into things against MGCF and, of course, try and catch Complexity. It's a nice attempt at applying pressure again from Complexity, as they do seem to be a high-pressure side. Unfortunately, NIP just able to get out of those back lines, and now they're going to try and make something of it here. Mbappe's pass goes wayward, though, and again, this will slow down ever so slightly.
Yeah, and if you're Complexity here, it's important not to rush. They are making chances. If there is that one critique again, and it's kind of my job to analyze a little bit, maybe play devil's advocate, they're in the right places, they're choosing the wrong finish. Even with that finesse shot that we saw earlier, that should be a Trivella. Had the time, had it lined up, it's with Pele, go ahead and use the outside of the boot.
It's been something I've been speaking to the pros about, is finishing and how difficult it can be in those 1v1s because of how quick those keepers get off the line. I have seen some new ways of scoring goals that I haven't seen any of the pros use yet, so I'm going to keep it close to my chest because I don't want to spoil anything, but let me tell you, when pros start to figure it out, I think we'll be starting to see a lot of something, and maybe I'll allude to it a little bit later, but now Pele. Denied by Cafu, 45 minutes on the clock, and that will be half-time. In what was a half, I would say, dominated by Complexity possession-wise, but it's TG.NIP who show they are clinical once again.
And if you're looking at TG.NIP again, I wouldn't shift. You're happy probably playing those counterattacks. You've already got the go-ahead goal, and now it forces Complexity to have to push more and more bodies forward.
Well, of course, watching from the sidelines, we've got Brandon Smith, who's with a representative from EXCEL. Let's see what they're thinking.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And yes, I am with Corey from EXCEL. I'll come to you straight away. I mean, how are the boys feeling? A disappointing start in 2 games where they really need to be picking up points today.
Yeah, I think, you know, a rough start, difficult games and really fine margins, I think, you know, pretty rough out there. But we've got to bounce back. We've got to pray for some good results elsewhere as well.
And speaking of good results, it is going to plan so far. Technically, you need what? TG.NIP to win and then SPQR to pull off a miracle, currently out of the group. Is that sort of the storyline you're looking for?
I think so. You know, if TG.NIP do a job and then SPQR can do a job as well, then we're looking at potentially being back in it for that final game. So hopes high. We'll stay with it. We'll go again.
Well, fingers crossed from everyone here at EXCEL. Back to you guys for the second half.
Well, what a time to come back, as almost another chance is taken, but it's Van der Sar once more showing why he's so important between the sticks, Mike, but always good to hear from those who are watching. Of course, very nervy times for EXCEL and everyone involved, not just the players. And good to hear from Corey as well. I remember calling him Corby on a broadcast once because that's what I was told his name was. Anyway, Ronaldo into Pele. Step overs, and it was everything but the finish, Mike.
That's so unlucky. And you see that step over again. It's so important this year. Maximize them, master them, influence them, add them into your arsenal. Anyone can do them. They're universal skills, and they attack space. they make your opponent have to hesitate, and they give you that just extra burst, a little bit of that extra oomph that you need when you get in the final third, and it can disguise what you're going to do and how you're going to do it.
I was worried by the gestures you were just pulling, but certainly an extra oomph is needed now.
I was doing step overs next to you, okay?
I'm sure you were, but Complexity, this is where frustration starts to kick in, when those chances start to happen and they're not taking advantage of them. But they still are having the possession, they are still getting in the final third. But now will TG.NIP start to play the slow game? Will they start to try and frustrate Complexity a little bit more here?
I think they heard you talking. Actually, Complexity cued the pause. I wasn't going to be surprised if we saw Team Holit, Ninjas in Pajamas with the cueing of maybe a shift to go a little more defensive. But these guys have so much experience, and they're familiar with how FIFA works. And if you don't finish your chances, it's a cruel game. And I will say that Complexity is a little bit unfortunate or unlucky there, not just because it hits the post, but even the animation. After having that step over, that animation with Pele is maybe not as favorable, not as accurate as if you would have got a green time finish where you really traditionally unloaded the shot attempt.
There's not too much time left for Complexity. 30 minutes on the clock. And we know how quickly that can go by in a game of FIFA. But there has been a goal elsewhere between MGCF and SPQR, as it was Pele on the ball, able to just cut it back, and it was Mbappe who scored for MGCF, and we can see what it means to them. I chatted to them earlier. They know full well what they have to do to get through this group, and that is certainly stage one of doing that job, is beating SPQR.
See, that pause is still cued. You love these situations. If you're on the other side, you see a pause being cued, make sure that ball does not go out. You don't want that adjustment period.
Pele trying to get past Zambrotta, does sort of bumble his way past, but in the end, Vieira will just scoop up the pieces. And again, Vieira just so important for these squads. I do wonder how many people are going to do those World Cup swap tokens to get a Vieira of their own at home. There's Jarzinho now on the right-hand side, being tracked by Hullett, but this could be a good opportunity for Team Hullett NIP. But again, Mike, they are more than happy to go back and play the possession game, and quite rightly so, because a victory here for TG.NIP would pretty much secure them through, and maybe even secure them first place with results happening elsewhere.
And it's got to be said, that pause has been queued more than 20 minutes now of game time as well.
Mbappe, oh! And just like that, another nail put into the coffin here of this game, and Complexity find themselves 2 behind. And again, it seemed like it was against the run of play, Mike.
It does not matter. I almost mixed up bad and matter there. I put them together. But it does not matter. I was going to say bad turns to worse here for Complexity. And the big difference, and I say this time and time again, I know they haven't conceded. You could talk about the clean sheets. Good for them. Maybe a little bit of good fortune in this game. But every time they get into the final third, they're into the box. That was made out of not a lot. They held the ball well, the extra pass. But to have that ball roll, goalkeeper goes down, you tap it home. It's a quick, instinctive move. And that's been the story of everything we've seen with Team Hullett, Ninjas in Pajamas today. That collaboration, that partnership, it's been at a premium quality. They're trying to go home for the holidays on a certain type of energy and a certain type of vibe. Presents getting handed out everywhere.
Well, you can see the group there, and a victory here, 15 points. Now, my math may deceive me, but that qualifies them.
Surely.
Because they couldn't be caught up by
I'm not good at permutations, but 15 sounds good to at least
couldn't
be
be caught up by
second.
EXCEL, but of course, they could still come second in the group because MGCF, with that game in hand, are creeping up on them. Boys were thinking, you know, we only need 12 to 13 points to get through these groups. 15 would have them so confident going into that final game to top this group. I think they know now at 2-0 with only 17 minutes remaining, it's just about playing the smart game, holding on to the ball, denying Complexity the chances here. But Complexity, of course, will want to flip that script. They'll want to get 2 quick-fire goals here, similarly to what we saw Cameroon do in the World Cup today. Here's Hullett. Need some help, get some help, but look at the bodies behind the ball for TG.NIP. Mbappe. Again, comes to nothing. A quick steal away, Capdevia. Assistance from Vieira. Plenty of bodies in the middle. Eusebio, maybe he can strike, and he will! And there is still hope yet for Complexity. Such an important goal at the perfect time.
And I was just going to say there's a lot of time to work with, Dan. And I do appreciate the resurgence of Eusebio over the last couple years of the competitive scene. He hasn't necessarily transcended. Even like Vieira, he used to always be a staple in the center mids or the holding mids. He's turned into a center back now to keep his life expectancy or his FIFA life expectancy going, at least at the pro level. it all comes down to those counter presses. When we're looking at what Complexity is going to produce, you're going to see a lot of that constant pressure. And I was just going to add in before they scored that goal that the space will be made on that instant press or that constant press, because as the offensive players try to transition offensively, if they have an error there, they're out of position, one pass and we're through. We see that a lot in FIFA 23.
Well, the pressure was applied. Complexity are rewarded with a goal, and suddenly this isn't so simple for TG.NIP. They were cruising at 2-0. They were top of the league. Happy, dandy, but Eusebio maybe will spoil the party ever so slightly here. As with what is 13, make it 12 minutes left in game for Complexity to try and rescue a result. But NIP looking to do something from the kickoff here. There are bodies in the middle. You can see switching over to Ginola now. And just about gets the shot away, but Van der Sar again with a huge save. As Levi David is denied there, close quarters. But they're still working this one from the corner. A goal here would surely kill off Complexity, and Complexity know it. That's why they're defending for their lives.
Showing some ingenuity in the box as well. Not a skill move you technically see, even at the beginner, intermediate, or advanced stage.
Uh-oh. What a chance this is. Cruyff, stretch your legs, son. Can you get a shot? Can you get away? Oh, but the keeper's off his line. Maybe there could have been an opportunity for a chip there, but again, we spoke about how quick these keepers come off their line, and Complexity not able to take advantage of what could have been a huge chance. Here's Eusebio. Complexity still going for it. Still trying to find an equaliser to try and put their chances of qualification a little bit more solid. Ronaldo, and it's gonna be saved by Van der Sar. Could have done a little bit better. It was a little bit of a soft one, must be said. Now what have they got from the corner? What's coming from the training ground? And there you have it! Complexity right back into the game. Back post leaping above everyone. And you know full well they've done that one before.
And it's got to be said, I don't think that's good for anyone in the competition other than these two. They each add a point sitting at the top. I know that MGCF is chasing. I'm not sure on the permutation gods. We might have to talk to Richard here. But this might eliminate EXCEL.
I know that EXCEL definitely wanted TG.NIP to be winning this game. A draw does not favor them as much as it would a victory, but there has been a goal elsewhere. Of course, we have another game going at the moment, MGCF versus SPQR. And what's happening here? Maybe the party poopers are going to be SPQR. Remember, 0 points at the moment, but they're starting to throw a spanner in the works.
I don't know if you heard me. Before we came up here, I said expect to draw. They're going to take points out of this game, an all-Brazilian affair. I'm just patting you on the back. I'm patting me on the back. I don't even know if that result's going to stand, but that's where I'm at.
Well, I mean, that is good news for the likes of Complexity, because there's how the table will look. Complexity still have a 3-point lead, so suddenly that game in hand is almost negated ever so slightly after that loss earlier. And NIP find themselves 4 points ahead of MGCF. So this group very much on a knife's edge. As we know, EXCEL watching on eagerly want NIP to be beating Complexity here so that they would still have a chance of getting through.
I'd love to have a microphone in there. I see the coaches going hard in terms of adjustments and maybe even some calculations on the fly there. Because at the end of the day, you just need to get out of your group. This is very World Cup-ish. If you're looking at getting out of the EA Sports Cup and getting out of the group stage and then pushing on to that the January window, shall we say, the bracket play.
Well, the result far more important for Complexity to try and secure a victory here, but I'm sure they wouldn't be too annoyed with a draw, especially considering they were 2-0 down. But it's TG.NIP holding on to the ball, playing time. But we have seen Complexity steal a ball away a couple of times in these areas, so TG.NIP have to be careful as we go into added on time. 1 extra minute. Is there any more chances, or are we going to be finishing this one as a 2-2 draw and splitting the points? Yes, we will. A point each for both sides in our first and second teams in this group. I think they'll both be happy with it ultimately. Maybe TG.NIP a little bit disappointed they've thrown away a 2-0 lead, but Complexity, hats off to them for an incredible comeback, Mike.
I don't know if they'll be happy about that. Complexity walks away in a good space, but if you're Ollelito and Levi, to be up 2-0, less than 10 minutes left, you got to see that out. You guys have a lot of experience, again, individually and as a team, and that's really not the type of energy you want to carry on, but in the grand scheme of the competition, you would say they're still in a good position.
Yeah, very much so. And I think that we've seen so many teams throw away 2-0 leads. I think we even saw a team throw away a 4-0 lead at some point. What are they doing wrong? What are these teams not doing in these positions?
Well, it comes down to some of the mistakes. We've seen those. And to be fair, Complexity has probably been the best on display today at forcing those mistakes. Their pressure is unbelievable. And then in FIFA in particular this year, once that constant pressure gets turned on, it is so difficult to get out.
Well, in all that madness that was happening, there was a goal that happened elsewhere, which could affect how the group is going to go. We talked about the party poopers, SPQR.
Oh, wow.
Get the second goal against MCF, and that is going to be so detrimental and such a big, important result. A shock result as well, I may add, Mike.
Oh, wow. That's going to make for an awkward flight back to Brazil. I don't know if they're on the same flight returning.
I don't think they will be anymore, especially after that.
They got to book those guys separate.
This happens sometimes when teams are at the bottom of the table. They don't necessarily have anything to play for. The pressure is just lifted off your shoulders. And do you think that's an element of what we're seeing here?
Not even necessarily that. I think there's a rivalry there. You guys are all Brazilian. You want to say, hey, I'm the best out of Brazil. I was talking to Cripaldi. I was talking to Barreto earlier, and I actually think that maybe the top 30 in Brazil are at that competitive level. Wow. There's such depth, and we don't always get to see them all on display. So this is a nice little way of being like, hey, here's a little take-home, enjoy December.
And I know you love your permutations and you love seeing who's going to be able to win games. Well,
as long as I don't have to do the math.
Maybe someone who knows the math a little bit better. Brandon Smith is down on the floor with Ollelito.
Thank you very much, Dan and Mike. What a set of games that was here in round 3 of the EA Sports Cup. I mean, Ollie, what is the feeling now? 2-0 up, you're pretty much on the verge of qualification. Unfortunately now, you've got to go to your last game to maybe get it done.
Yeah, I mean, we lead in 2-0, 78th minute, concede, then all press out of that, and then unfortunately conceding another corner. So that was a bit unfortunate. I just saw that MGCF lost, which is good for us, but we still need to go into this last game and just focusing on winning.
As you said, one group game left, but so far, so good in the terms of you, the only unbeaten team left in this group stage. Surely that fills you with a little bit of confidence.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're playing really, really well. I think that last game we deserved to win as well. We're playing really, really good, like we did the first week, but now we're putting our chances away, which is like the main thing. So, I mean, I'm feeling confident. Just one last game now, hopefully 3 points, and then we can chill and sit out in that last game.
Yeah, he says chill out in the last game. He's got one game left against the Brazilian side. It's more of the same, and he should be getting through.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, MGC, a fantastic team. I think our group is underrated. I think we have a lot of good teams that are probably not that well known, but I mean, the Brazilians for me are fantastic 2v2, and then we have EXCEL and Complexity, who are also 2 great teams. So, a very, very tough group, and just hoping to get through.
Yeah, well, it's been so far so good. The only unbeaten team left here in Group A. If they win the next game, they're through to the knockout. So now it's over to Richard and Ryan.
Thank you very much, Brandon, and great words there from Ollelito. I mean, look, statistically, if we're going by the numbers, they are pretty much through, aren't they, Ryan?
Yeah, I'd be shocked if they're out.
Yeah.
I think they've done enough today. They performed at the highest level. They spoke about if they can do that, they back themselves to go the distance, and yeah, they've done that today.
Are you potentially surprised that they've been so good today? Did you expect that from them?
I'm not surprised, in all honesty. I expected them from the first week anyway. I wouldn't have been surprised if they went 12 points out of 12. They're that good. So I guess they were, even though they got 6 points, I believe, they were still a level way below than their standards. So this week they've shown how good they are.
Well, we just heard from Ollelito there. We can have a look at some of the extended highlights from that matchup that we just saw against Complexity Gaming. Ryan Pessoa, talk me through what you saw in this match.
Yes, this was a huge game. Of course, the top 2 teams playing against each other to try and secure qualification. That was an important chance that just hit the outside of the post there from Complexity. Of course, Team Hullet building up here. This was their chance to make it 2-0, and it was great pass in. It was a great ball roll around the goalkeeper to give himself an easy finish. We see the reactions there from Dan and Mike. But this was where the game started to turn. A fantastic shot on the edge, green timed as well, to make it 2-1. We heard around the pit as well, the celebrations, and it was a corner whipped in and a great header to equalize 2-2. That is an incredible result, incredible importance from, well, for both MaXe and Joksan as well.
I mean, not only do I love the highlights, I love the cameraman in the background getting more and more excited with that game, just as we all were down here on the floor. One of the big shocks of today was the result in the Brazilian derby. It was MGCF against SPQR, and Ryan Pessoa, we said that SPQR would take points off teams. They did just that in this matchup.
Yeah, we talk about shocks here because I honestly didn't hear any celebrations around the pit, but of course it was a start. We saw a lot of green-timed efforts that didn't end up finding the back of the net, but it was the first breakthrough from MGCF, building up with Pele. Great step overs, a pass in was a touch and a finish in at the near post. That's when we heard the first celebration from the Brazilian team. But it was a response.
It
A
was.
response we didn't anticipate happening. It was a breakthrough here for SPQR, and it was a goal.
Movement.
Goalkeeper movement was a bit suspect at that opportunity, but of course you want to block the shot across goal. This was the chance though. I felt this was it. They needed that to go in the last stages of the game, and it was a response down the other end here. Again, the defender would expect him to do slightly better, but a finish from R9 Ronaldo, and SPQR get their first points, their first win on the board, Richard.
Yeah, unbelievable performance from SPQR. They take all 3 points against MGCF, 2-1 victory. On the other side of it, we saw the highlights, we saw the game play out. Complexity Gaming 2, Team Hullet Ninjas in Pajamas 2. The question I have, what does that do to the table? Well, let's find out. Team Hullet Ninja Pajamas, 13 points with 1 game left. Complexity Gaming on 12 points with 1 game left. MGCF on 8, EXCEL on 6, and SPQR Brazil on 3. SPQR eliminated. MGCF can potentially still go through with a 14-point haul. EXCEL, their maximum point total is 12. It would then come down to the tiebreakers if Complexity was still level on points with them. Ryan, what have you made of that group so far?
Yeah, I think that game with SPQR and MGCF sort of emphasizes how much of a shock that was. We see that's their first points for SPQR, getting 3 points on the board. But for MGCF, if they had won that game, they were genuinely in touching distance from securing qualification. They still do have, of course, 2 games left to play, whereas Complexity and Team Hullet Ninjas in Pajamas only have 1.
Yeah.
So they could still advance. They're still in a strong position, but they have to get the wins on the board.
Yeah, 3 points is essential in our next round of fixtures, and let's show you what I have in store for you. MGCF against Team Hullet Ninjas in Pajamas will be our featured match on the side stage. It's going to be SPQR Brazil against EXCEL. I cannot wait to see, can MGCF pull something out of the hat? That's our featured match. It's going to be Mike LaBelle and Dan Gaskin. On set, on the mind. Do not go anywhere because it's going to be a cracker.
The EA Sports Cup is presented by PlayStation Tournaments.
Welcome back, everybody, to the EA Sports Cup. You should have seen the dance moves Mike LaBelle was just pulling off camera. You don't have to do them again. Never do them again.
Okay,
it was
sorry.
meant for off camera. You weren't meant to see that. But the group is starting to come to a conclusion now. But of course, we do not know yet who is going through. There is still a chance for some of the teams who are a little bit down in the table, Mike, meaning that this next game is going to be a huge one. We've got TG.NIP versus MGCF. I mean, how do you see this one playing out?
Well, it's got to be said. You sprinkle in a little pressure, you get some results. You can kind of expect the unexpected when we get into these esports events. That's been a constant. We've got Quality and Barreto, obviously coming off a bad result with the All-Brazilian affair. And then Ollelito and Levi, maybe also a little disappointed because they were up 2-0.
Well, we can look back at what happened between these two teams when they last matched up just a few weeks ago as well, and it was an absolute bloodbath in the end. Lots of chances going here, there, and everywhere for everyone, but MGCF and TG.NIP both fighting tooth and nail to try and get that ball into the back of the net. But it was a struggle, Mike LaBelle. But you can understand why, because these 4 players, they're so incredible, and we really are seeing 2 of the top teams in this group. But maybe there isn't a chance for both of them to get through.
Well, if you're a fan of MGCF, they have to have a win here. I don't think any other result's possible with the permutations or the situations or the collective or however you want to do the mathematical equation. And if you're sitting here and you're in TG and NIP's position, you know any points on the board solidifies and wraps it up for you, and you're moving onward. And as you heard with Ollelito, you could chill for the final game.
Well, we're underway. And what could be a very influential match for this entire group. MGCF are going to be kicking from left to right, and then TG.NIP from right to left. They've switched up from the all-white kick, and they are going for the kind of blue and yellow. I like it. Nice little change-up for them. But Pele now looking good in his new kit. Will be stretching his legs down the left-hand side of the pitch here. Does get some help. Hullet now can play it in, but Jarzinho just can't quite get hold of it. And Lucio also showing what a rock at the back he's been as of late.
And between, I would say, Capdevila and Jarzinho this year, those 2 players being included constantly between squads, and their influence, both online if you're just playing throughout FUT champs or division rivals, and then at the competitive level, it's remarkable.
Pele manages to intercept and does get away from the oncoming defender at the same time. It's great quick fire passing, but as I say that, the ball does go wayward, and maybe the passes came a little bit too quick. And TG.NIP need to be careful that they are not rushing anything here. It could be very much a Gareth Southgate approach for this game. Just play not to lose. Similarly to what we saw England do most recently. Because at TG.NIP
against two,
against the United States of America, Mike. And I tell you what, I'll give it to you. The USA played incredible in that game. And we'll have to see what happens with the remainder of that group. But now, in this group, in what is going to be a very important game for MGCF in particular, against TG.NIP, this is going to be the last chance we see TG.NIP. So a victory here would guarantee them through, but a loss would really shake things up. So MGCF are going to look to try and change things, as it's very much about possession management right now for TG.NIP.
That was an ambitious attempt, it's got to be said, from TG.NIP. Looking outside of the box, lining up at Travella, really hoping the goalkeeper's off his line, if you technically want to put that as a challenging effort. And you can see they're already probing. You see Renzo coaching there, talking to both players. Great with the hand mannerisms. I wish you could execute that somewhere in game. This is the most hand mannerisms I think I've seen out of a coach. You don't need to write down anything. He's got all sorts of different movements. This guy is aligned. He's synchronized. I bet you he's a fantastic swimmer.
I bet he is. And I'm sure that he's got wise words, as do both of the coaches. A very important role in FIFA Esports, especially in the 2v2s, whether you're instructing tactics or you're just trying to get that temperament right for one of your players. There's a slight chance does come through from the corner, but nothing too much to worry about for MGCF as they see it off, and it was light work. There has been more chances for TG.NIP in the early stages here, and again they have regained possession. And MGCF look to just set up and try and defend once more and hope that they can regain the ball here.
And do a little bit better job with some of the build-up. They've been somewhat rushed, I would say, offensively. It's got to be offside.
Should be offside.
Coming back. And you see what I mean. In terms of how they're going forward, especially considering that TG.NIP's been so precise and concise with how they're building up, you've got to have a little bit of the ball, a little more possession play if you're MGCF. You have plenty of time here. It's almost the 20th minute. Take your time with it, control it on the build-up, look for the final third, probe for the result, probe for that opportunity.
And I just want to see MGCF get a victory so that Crepaldi can get those sunglasses back on again. He looks incredible when he does put them on. He looks chilled out more than anyone else in the room. But he needs some of those chilled vibes now. Cannot succumb to the pressure here. Torre into Ronaldo. Heel doesn't really work out. As I tell you what, the new Ronaldo, it does throw me with his new haircut in game. For a while I was thinking, who on earth is that on the ball? But it is R9. He's still going to be hitting those balls as hard as he has always previously in the other FUT items. As there is how the table currently stands. TG.NIP on 14, Complexity on 12, of course, playing later. But that table did move. And the reason why it moved is there is a goal happening elsewhere. EXCEL versus SPQR. And that'll mean that EXCEL took a goal lead in that one. I'm sure we'll get some highlights later when it comes forward. But in this match, Mike, again, it's just a battle of resources in the middle of the pitch.
And you're seeing a lot of swinging side to side, pretty common at the pro level. As we're going to review the goal from EXCEL here. Pele, overlapping run, finds Jarzinho from there, bread and butter position, eyes it up, sees if Van der Sar is going to scoot one way or the other. You see a couple smiles, a little bit of a fist pump. They know what they have to do. They have to get wins, and they're also going to need some assistance throughout the last couple results. But we've seen crazier things happen in FIFA Esports.
Yeah, EXCEL are going to need a lot to go their way if they're going to still qualify, and they're probably going to need a lot of goals as well. But at the moment, they could just focus on the task that is in hand, and that's just beating what's in front of them. Back to TG.NIP here. Mbappe with the step-overs will beat one. Doesn't want to try and beat any more than that, though. The ball through, and it's going to be a little bit fortunate, but the finish was excellent. And TG.NIP again take the lead in one of these games.
And that's going to hurt if you're an MGCF fan. And you saw them rework that really well. Again, you're teasing that Trivela, opens up a little extra lane of space. They have the dump-off pass. You might say that his first touch was fortunate, but you put yourself into one of those roles, into the correct position to slide in that additional pressure. A moment, shall we say.
Well, TG.NIP in the ascendancy. And remember, a victory here would guarantee them through. And most likely top of the group as well. There is the updated 16 points they'd find themselves on, which, yes, would guarantee them through and first place if it were to stay like this. So MGCF, they need to respond here. 10 minutes left in this first half. So still plenty of time, as Mike has alluded to a couple of times. They don't need to panic, but going a goal down will certainly hurry them ever so slightly. Here's Cafu. Vieira, now Ronaldo. Hullet manages to deny initially, but still got the ball! And the response comes almost instantly. MGCF firing themselves right back into this game.
And not once, not twice, but 3 little attempts there. You see some of the turns, you're squeaking, you're pushing, you're grooving, you're moving. R9 gets maybe a friendly bounce at the final end of that, fumbles his way through, but he knows what to do with it. Always going to be clinical anywhere around the 6-yard box.
Well, boy, did MGCF need it. Another one that's a little bit frustrating for TG.NIP, I'm sure, but they are professionals, and I'm sure they won't let it phase them. Again, it changes how the table looks, and once more gives MGCF a good chance to try and qualify in this group. As Complexity will be watching on, and I'm sure watching on, biting their nails. Hullet into Pele. Tries to go for the reverse Elastico, but Elastico's his way into a Ruud Hullet, and that's never really where you want to go against Team Hullet, as I'm sure he's working extra hard to try and get them the victory. This one's played to the edge of the box. A 1-2. Mbappe could strike. Strike second time, and Van der Sar with an excellent save.
And that outside fake shot just opens up everything on the pitch. What a save from Van der Sar. No man's land. Gets down quick, very reactive, big body, spreads completely. Hands everywhere.
Could be something from the corner.
Reaching in the cookie jar.
Mbappe's everywhere. Here, there, everywhere. Who put the hands in the cookie jar? It was Mbappe, but could not get the goal because Van der Sar was there to deny. As Cafu will play this one away, and that is going to be half-time. 45 minutes gone, just the 2 goals, but it is 1-1, one apiece. And at the moment, nothing to separate the two. Chances, though, where it could have gone in favour of MGCF. I've seen Mbappe put them away for days, Mike, but Van der Sar denying on this occasion.
And a little bit of a different approach to the corner kick. Not only going short, but kind of whipping it from the top of the box. Again, showcasing that Trivela angle just to see if you can make the goalkeeper scoot. Then the extra pass to the middle. It's risky to go for that fake shot. It's got to be said. It did open up the virtual pitch, but if you lose the ball there, counterattack for days. Counterattack for years. Counterattack for decades. What else is after that? Millennia?
I was wondering how far you were going to go.
You can just keep pushing
You
this.
can keep going if you really want, Mike. But
either way, you can feel the confidence from MGCF having the equalizer and a little bit of a momentum shift.
As Mike tries to count as many years as he can, we're back into the second half. For TG.NIP, I think it's a bit more simple. They just have to not lose. A draw would be absolutely fine for them, still would qualify. As for MGCF, they would very much like a victory here. And of course, Complexity, who are watching on, need TG.NIP to win this one to really give them the best chance of qualifying as well.
Well, FIFA doesn't show mercy. No. I would never recommend playing for a draw.
Definitely not. Does not work out for me in my Foot Champs games anyway. Penalties, even they don't go my way. But here is a chance maybe for MGCF to try and build something from the back. They were able to stem that attack from TG.NIP, and now they have possession and can work with it as well, because there is a lot of space on that right-hand side and a lot of players to work with as well. One more could go on, but Zambrotta defending excellently, but it's denied. As now here's Cafu coming from right back. Dinked it in, and it's as easy as that. It's an interception, it's to Zambrotta. And then what a pass across goal. And just nods it home to take the lead here.
And that might be my favorite goal of the day thus far. The way that he pulls it back, re-angles, sets up the Trivela. That ball roll is so key to timing, alignment, the overlapping cross, and the finish. You're not going to miss from there. And again, we talked about if you have hopes, then you have dreams. And if you're looking at MGCF, they have got something that's taken them into the clouds. They feel a little more revitalized. They're reinventing. They're probably hurting a little bit off their last game, though, in that Brazilian affair. That was a bad time to lose points. At least a draw would have put them in a different situation, a different position, a different sequence.
Well, 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 that does change things in this group.
They want more, Dan.
They want to get another one. And it is going to be a chance here. Ball roll away from the man.
Needs help.
Doesn't get the help, though, and maybe a little bit indecisive. And it allows TG.NIP to nip in and steal that one. And this game, this day, this tournament has had absolutely everything so far, and look at how the group changes because of that goal. Suddenly, it's not looking so rosy at the top for TG.NIP. They find themselves on 13. Still a possibility that they would not qualify with how things are going. Jarzinho, though, to try and help them qualify, plays it to no one.
Oh, sloppy touch from Vieira.
Well, it does rescue it, though. Zidane now into Ronaldo. Again, back to Zidane. Ronaldo could hit this, will hit it, and it's green timed, and it's 2-2.
And that's so well done, because if that's not a green time finish, that's not hitting the back of the net. You always need that extra emphasis to beat the likes of a Van der Sar or even a Petr Cech. They're way too consistent this year with making save on save on save.
Well, let's see what Brandon has to say with Complexity's Joksan, who's watching on right now.
Well, I didn't have much to say, gents, but this man did. I heard yes, yes, yes as TG.NIP equalised there. How big of a goal is that for Ninjas in Pyjamas in terms of what this does for the group?
That's a pretty goal from Ninjas in Pyjamas. If they win this game or tie, they help us go through to the group, so hopefully it happens.
And on the flip side, if we do see a late winner from MGCF Esports, that does mean, correct me if I'm wrong, you need to go and win your last game and all the pressure's back on you.
Yeah, we have to win the last game, do or die. So it'll be fun.
Here we go. Well, it could happen. It might. Let's see how it happens. For now, it's back to you guys for the cast.
I mean, with how today's been, anything could happen as well. Can't quite get the shot away. And it will go out for a goal kick. But good to hear from Joksan there, of course, from Complexity. And as I said, probably a few fingernails have gone missing watching this one. Nervy times for everyone involved. Not just those playing the games, but those watching at the same time. 66 minutes have gone. Still time for either team to get a winner here. In fact, there could still be time for 2 goals to go in with how crazy today has been. But Mike, do you see this going in a particular way? Are you going to be brave enough to call it?
I think there's another goal. I definitely think there's another goal in this. I don't think it's going to end up a 2-2 draw. Whether we're going to see an overcommitment from MGCF or if they're going to go ahead, if they're going to push that agenda. I mean, you see TG.NIP, they're knocking on the door. Their levels with efficiency. I was going to say they've been a master with the intangibles. The extra passes, the build-up play, really having a structured plan. If you look at how they're playing, I don't want to say rigid because that's not really fair, almost has a negative connotation, but they are definitely game-planned, well-coached, professional with how they approach each and every matchup.
Well, let us know in the chat. Let us know who you think is going to be winning this game, if anyone, or if you think it's going to be ending as a draw. 15 minutes left, there or thereabouts. Again, it's going to be a chance to break through here, but the defenders wrestling and making sure that MGCF do not go a goal behind here. And I just wonder whether it's going to be another mistake. With what we've seen so far today and the amount of chances that have come from pressing and causing those mistakes to happen, the risks that are being taken. And it is going to be NIP with a chance, maybe going forward. R9 will fizz one in. Pele throws his body at it like a salmon, but that one is going to be denied.
They got to turn on the press. We need that constant press. It's going to be the best opportunity again for MGCF to create easier opportunities on those transitions, those takeaways. It's time, it's go time. This draw doesn't help them whatsoever.
Is there another twist in the tail as Huller intercepts, but does manage to cling onto it actually, and that could be huge here for NIP. There is space out on the right to work with for Pele. You can see the press though coming in from MGCF. Both players working very hard
it's a slow
to
press,
make sure.
Though. The bodies aren't there, Dan. Look at this. This is his clock. It's ticking. He's going to get another free pass.
Well, a draw definitely benefits MGCF more than it does NIP. I think they would have taken it when the day started with how incredible TG.NIP have been. Defender should bring this one down, it does. As long as we don't see a mistake, there is going to be an opportunity now for MGCF to build from the back once more here. Space on the left. Hullo. Lucio pushing quite far up the pitch now as MGCF trying to ask the question of NIP. Trying to see if they can find a gap. Hullit's taken down off the ball, but doesn't matter. Tries to play it inside. R9 was there and waiting, but nothing comes from it. Just a few minutes left now, otherwise we will be ending up as a draw. But that means nerves going to kick in. Pressure starting to be piled on the players. One last chance maybe for NIP to steal this one away at the death, but runs it out of play. But that will allow a pause here, and that will allow some changes for one last attack, Mike.
This is going to be one of those moments where they need the +2. We often see the +1 for extra time. This is one of the keys where you need the +2, otherwise the fixtures heading into Game 5, or the final fixture of the day, I don't know if they're going to matter, all things considered.
Well, there has been a goal in the other game, as you saw the table just changed there. EXCEL on 7 points, SPQR on 4. That means that there was an equalizer elsewhere. And that it was, 71 minutes on the clock. EXCEL were leading, but SPQR again showing up a little bit later on in the competition, as it were, and they'll be going home with their heads held very firmly high. As we turn our attentions back to our feature game, you saw the table, and as it stands, NIP still would be qualifying with a draw. So they'll be more than happy for this result to stay that way. But MGCF, they are going to want to do something else. They're going to be wanting to win the game. But as we were showing that replay, suddenly EXCEL come right back at SPQR, and EXCEL find themselves up once more, Mike.
I don't know if I can get down with this R9. He's looking different. But you see the key of the extra pass. Goalkeeper moved a little bit early.
Well, here we go. Last chance then for MGCF on the attack. Cruyff plays it in to the left-hand side. It's denied instantly, but if the ball goes out, that's probably going to be it. Will be it, and it's going to be 2-2. Points are shared, but enough is done for Team Hullet NIP as Ollelito points to the badge. A draw is good enough. They just had to make sure they did not lose. They'll be going through to the next round. They'll be more than happy with how they played today. Undefeated in the bracket. And of course, they advance to the knockouts.
Major result. The game plan they came with today, it's worked. And the big key too, they start off ahead in almost all their games, which made it where their oppositions had to adjust, they had to chase, and they really weren't in that position. And they handled closing out games pretty well, generally speaking. Maybe not the 2-0 versus Complexity, but everything else, I think they'd be happy with.
Well, at the end of the day, they just had to survive in those games, and certainly survive they did, whilst adding a little bit of flair with when they were taking the lead. And of course, congratulations to TG.NIP for progressing into the knockouts. I mean, I wouldn't have expected anything less when I came into today and I looked at these lineups and I looked at the absolute powerhouse roster that is TG.NIP. They are going to be feared amongst those knockout stages, aren't they, Mike?
Somehow they've combined having the youth, but also having the maturity. And I don't know if that's a shout out to the coach, if that's a shout out to them as individuals. Even when you chat with the likes of Levi or you talk to Ollelito, they always have answers that seem to be a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
They're almost like FIFA philosophers.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they certainly seem to be wise with their words. On the other side, MGCF, a draw still puts them in contention, of course, for qualification, but it is going to be a do-or-die last game. Similarly for Complexity as well. On the receiving end, we heard Joksan on the sidelines talking about it. We thought Game 4 was going to be nervy, Mike. Game 5 is going to be even more pressure on these players, isn't it?
I'm very happy to not be taking part in Game 4 or Game 5. I like my position here. It's been great with average dance moves and a lot of emotion back and forth.
A lot of emotion coming from Mike LaBelle, and I'm sure there's some emotion down on the floor as well. Brandon is going to be speaking with the TG.NIP team. Let's see what they have to say.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. There certainly is a bit of emotion down here. Two people that are very happy indeed. Knockouts in the bag. The first team from this group to get it secured. I've got to say, first and foremost, GG's, gentlemen. Unbeaten today. Ollie, how are you feeling right now?
I think not even today, Brandon. I think in the whole group stage we haven't lost yet, so we feel very, very good, of course. As I said a lot of times when I'm playing 2v2, I'm playing with one of the most talented guys in the scene, you know. So, I mean, I'm super blessed over this team, super happy, been working really, really hard, and it feels amazing.
And it's all worth it now, Levi. I'm sure months and months of hard work, lots of boot camp. What is it about your teammate and you in particular as a team that has really separated you, and again, how you feel in knockout stages in the bag?
I think our motivation we both have. Like before this week and before last week, we both went to the Team Gullit HQ. All came from Sweden to have a boot camp. Now this weekend we both had like a big disappointment with not qualifying for the E-Champions League. And to be honest, like I was really depressed yesterday. And yeah, this was a good opportunity to give us both a good feeling. And yeah, I think we deserved it. We haven't lost a game in the group stage. And lost drew 2 games in the last minute with a corner, but this is a big relief, to be honest.
Just as Levi was saying there, eliminated in the E-Champions League group stages this weekend, qualification done today. How good does that feel for your teammate as well? Because it's clear to see there's a bit of a relationship between you two.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, at the start of our campaign as a 2v2 duo, I mean, we built up our kind of relationship and friendship. And I mean, I had a big mentor in Boris, who everyone knows. And I mean, I want to take that role and learn and teach Levi everything I know, you know. So I love this team. I think we got to give credit to our coach as well, who is always with us, Renzo. Big up to him. And I mean,
the other coaches at Team Gullit.
Like other coaches. Yeah. Hjelte, Jelle, Martin, everyone, you know. So I just want to say thank you to the Swedes who are supporting. Thank you to all the Dutch guys that are checking us in and supporting us. And we'll be back and hopefully grabbing that trophy.
And last question. Obviously, you play one of 2 teams now in the knockout stages. Levi, does it matter who it is? Do you want to play Focus?
Yes, I want to play Focus. Like PSG or Focus for me, it doesn't matter. I think 1 point separated them in the groups. And yeah, it's being best of 2 being played in the knockouts, I guess. And I think that favors us. And yeah, I'm not scared of any team.
Well, that's another team in the bag. 5 of 8 in the knockout stages. Congratulations to these guys. We'll see them in January. For now, it's down to Richard.
Thank you very much, Brandon, and the first
I'm
team
here too.
through.
I'm here. You see,
Mike LaBelle's here too. Mike, I just want your quick reaction off the back of that interview. Very classy from Ollelito and Levi. They've just done what they needed to do today.
I couldn't have asked for a better interview. It's what I teased up front. There's some sort of youth and then maturity every time they talk. You see what it means to both of them. Very committed to the process, and you feel like they're going to make a run in January. I don't have a problem saying that on this stage. I don't think they're going out early.
Potential winners?
Potential winners. They're too good defensively, and then when you have those moments, and Levy's really brought into that partnership to be that guy, that creative maestro, that number 10, the master of the unpredictable, shall we say, and he's really lived up to it.
Well, they didn't have it there all going for. Do you know what, Mike? I'm just bewildered that we're coming into the last game, I'll be honest, and we still got things to play for, because I thought you were all wrapped up after 2, but we can have a look, because they didn't have it all their own way, did Team Gullit Ninjas in Pyjamas. MGCF Esports fought hard.
And you see that entry pass, beautiful penetrating pass. And that has been the theme of the day. When you're dealing with Team Gullit Ninjas in Pyjamas, they score early, and a lot of times they've been able to hold it off. But you see the battle back here from MGCF. They're fumbling through the box a little bit. R9 doing what R9 does. But that's not it. That's not all. Cafu, beautiful cross. Why not double? And I still think that's the best goal maybe of the day. I just love the setup. I'm a man that loves picking out the right pass at the right time. The alignment makes me very happy. And then you see Zidane here, Ronaldo, timed green, cross the body, goalkeeper scoots to that near post, does not do enough. It just nicks off the post as well, a little added emphasis.
Do you know the one thing I've been most impressed by from Team Gullit Ninjas in Pyjamas, you can see the full-time results there of the 2 matches, is their timing of the goals. Yeah. They concede, they score straight away. They're scoring early. They're timing almost all the goals perfectly in the matches.
Even the timing as a partnership, yeah. I feel like they don't need to communicate. They know where each other's going to be. And I said that early on today, that these guys look like they are collectively in line. They have this energy. They've been working together, and they're ready for the moment. And you saw the interview, very emotional too. You could see it in their faces, how happy they were to be moving on to January and really living up to their expectations.
Well, we can see the group standings coming into this final round of fixtures. Team Gullit Ninjas in Pyjamas, they are through. SPQR Esports, unfortunately eliminated. We've got MGCF and Complexity Gaming fighting for second. That is what we have got on store for you. MGCF and Complexity Gaming are fighting to get into the knockouts. Team Gullit Ninja Pyjamas are already there, and we can look at the bracket. Potentially you're fighting for top spot or second, but you want to finish top to avoid focus potentially?
I don't know. When Brandon was talking to Levi seemed a little more gassed to play against Focus. And it sounded like he wanted it early on. He wanted all the smoke from Dolan Mike.
I mean, you're looking at also potentially, is there an easier side of the bracket? We'll break that down at the end of play today. Up next, we've got the final round of fixtures. Complexity Gaming looking to solidify their place in the top 2 against SPQR Brazil, potentially the party poopers for Complexity. On the other side of it, what a game! MGCF against EXCEL. Do not go anywhere. Complexity will be looking to get top 2 right after this.
Let me get the pouch.
The EA Sports Cup is presented by PlayStation Tournaments.
Well, welcome back to London for the final time here. Myself, Brandon Smith, and Manchester City Esports Pro Ryan Pessoa guiding you through the last round of action. The storyline is this. TG.NIP were the fifth name in the hat of 8 in the knockout stage, deservedly unbeaten across technically 8 games of FIFA. On the flip side now, it's whether Complexity, can top the group. That is the story now. Who will be topping that group? And he'll be playing against either Focus or PSG back here in January.
Yeah, so they've already confirmed their place into the knockout stages. Of course, it's just based on where they finish in their group and who they play in the knockout stages. They have, of course, PSG. If you finish top of your group, that's who you're going to be playing. If you finish second, you're playing Focus. So I don't think there's any preference, in all honesty. I think whoever you play in the knockouts is whoever you play. They're all going to be great teams. So, yeah, it's just about finishing strong.
Yeah, and a little bit more like, you could say, this is how that group of death did unfold back in Group B in terms of how this is looking. Just because 3 weeks ago we had that conversation whether it would be Fnatic or Riders that would top the group. Now it's the conversation here of who is going to top the group in Group A. This is last time they played a number of weeks ago. It was full of goals, but as we said, Complexity were able to grab the number of SPQR, which has not been an outing for them. The only thing that SPQR do have to take back to Brazil is that they beat their fellow Brazilians on one occasion. It doesn't mean much, but hey, it's a little bit of personal pride maybe.
Yeah, and it was a big game. It was a shock, in all honesty. That was their first win, and it was a win, of course, that stopped, or in the end, it looked as if it has stopped MGCF from advancing into the knockouts. So you could say it's a big win for them. Maybe there is a slight rivalry. Maybe they're friends. I'm not really too sure, but yeah.
Yeah, a lot still to unfold. As we said, another game taking place behind us as well. We'll see EXCEL in action against MGCF, another Brazilian game. They'll be looking, to be honest, to see who was going to finish on 12 points between them two. Points may be tied, but remember at home, there is head-to-head and tiebreakers that come into play, and I think a lot of those are in the favour of Complexity from what we know in terms of goals scored, matches against. So as it says, we are speaking about who is going to top this group, to be honest. Is it going to be TG.NIP or Complexity here in our final game of the day? Has this group gone the way you thought it would have? Because as we said, came into today, Complexity lost their first game. We were sitting there thinking, okay, are we going to see maybe a Focus-esque style? But then they seemingly just turned it back around. There's been a few draws, points dropped here and there. But I mean, TG.NIP and Complexity, near enough, just about done enough.
Yeah, I felt as if coming into it for TG.NIP, I felt like they were going to cruise their way through. Of course, they didn't start off as well as they would have liked to, but I felt they were in control with the way they played. They played really, really well this week as well. And for that second spot is always up for grabs. We've got fantastic teams, but I'd say I would have edged towards EXCEL. But yeah, it wasn't meant to be for them.
The question we're saying is who will be playing PSG Esports or Focus in the knockout stages? It's our last round of action here at the Team of the Season Cup. Team of the Season Cup, that'll be interesting. EA Sports Cup, I should say. Correct me there. And it's here in Group A. Complexity SPQR will be our match in Focus. We will be jumping across and we will be keeping you up to date between EXCEL, MGCF Esports. SPQR can still play a part in this, Ryan. We've said this throughout, and this is what
for me, determines the state of mind of some FIFA Pro players. Yes, they're out the tournament. Yes, it's not going to be the happiest of journeys back to Brazil, knowing that unfortunately you've not got your team through to the knockout stage. As we said this before, there's many more opportunities this year in 1v1 and 2v2, but you can still go back and say, look, we stopped Complexity topping the group. There is still a little storyline here.
Yep, exactly. And of course, they want to leave on a high. They want to make sure that they can show out on a good result here, but it's going to be tough. It's a tough ask mentally when you're playing a game where it's a foregone conclusion. You know the results anyway. You know that the result doesn't impact the overall group standing. So for them, it's just sort of, it's playing for pride at this point, but for Complexity, it's playing to top the group. And as we said, there's going to be no easy opponent in the knockout stages, but you want to make sure that you've done whatever you could do in your control, and that's just to win games for both MaXe and Joksan.
Yeah, for Levi and Ollelito, it's a case of they're going to sit out of this round. Now, they've done their hard work today. They are guaranteed to be through. They'll just be sitting in the players' room now wondering, have we done enough to top the group? Just a quick word on those two players, Ryan. Spoke briefly in the interview. There's just a relationship there between them two. You see the enthusiasm to boot camp. Ollelito coming over early from Sweden to the Netherlands. And as always, Team Hullet, ninjas in pyjamas, they just seem to have that work ethic weeks before a tournament just to be prepared. And every time they come to LAN, they just don't seem phased, them two.
Yeah, they're incredible competitors in the 1v1 ecosystem as well, but in the 2v2 they're just as brilliant. As I mentioned, they were one of my favorite teams to go the distance in this tournament, and there's a reason for that. We can see how disciplined they are. They've got a coach or coaches behind them that are fantastic in the scene as well. So again, I couldn't wish it for a better set of players in Ollelito and Levi, and they've shown today, as we said, why they deserve to be amongst one of the best teams in this competition. They haven't lost, 3 wins and 5 draws, 14 points, but again, we just have to see if that is enough to top the group.
Building nicely, Complexity looking for a first goal in this game. Trying to see Complexity back as well. Fortunately, that means we won't be seeing a Brazilian team find their way to the knockout stages, but we will be seeing North America on the map. The top 8. Hullet does well, back to goal. SPQR looking to cause havoc. Took a wicked deflection. And if it wasn't for the left boot, shin pad, whatever it was of Lucio, that may have been a goal for the Brazilian side. He might have only 3 points to name. Travella over the bar.
It's a great bit of build-up play there with the skill cancel combos in the box. If they shot across goal rather than in the near post, it would have been a goal, but resulted in that corner, the chance with Mbappe. I think those Travellas are sort of pot shots in a way. Maybe you don't back yourself to push into the box. Just because the keeper's already moved, it's at an angle where you wouldn't expect it to go in if the keeper's already covered the angle. But they've started off, honestly, as well as I've seen them.
Oh, wow. Oh, R9.
Yeah.
Fluffed it.
I'm not sure what the aim there was, but again, it wasn't the correct choice in hindsight. But again, they've started off really well. This is the best I've seen them play throughout the last 2 weeks, in my opinion.
And do you think it is that there's just no pressure on them?
Pressure's off, yeah.
There's no pressure on them. They can do what they want. They can skill as much as they want. And, I mean, going forward, they've looked, right to say, Ryan, the best they've been in this EA Sports Cup. Unfortunately, it's a little bit too late.
Yeah, we've seen that. Of course, since they've been confirmed to be eliminated, they played 2 complete games. They've got 4 points from it. I know that they're playing, well, against MGCF, there was something to play for them as well. But against EXCEL, it was, again, it was a game that wasn't really for anything. But they still ended up drawing that game, as we've seen them building up here again.
Cruyff tries his best to do well. Can't get round this man this time. As we said, the headlines are as simple as it sounds. TG.NIP confirmed into the knockout stage, as we've been asking the question out. Who will come out to top this group? Will we see Complexity top it, find their way through to the knockouts as well? Island over the top. Cleared away. The opposite game now. We'll keep you up to date with the EXCEL against MGCF. It is still goalless. Both teams on 9 points, I believe. You have to think about that for EXCEL, Ryan. Moments, mistakes. In that game here, there's actually been a few goals in it.
Yeah, it's a tough one for for Tom and Gorilla. They know they would have predicted themselves to go through in this stage. Of course, they had a group which is a very difficult one, but again, they just didn't hit the levels that they would have been happy with it. I think last week they defended very well. I felt like in 3 of the games, I believe they deserved to win, or at least deserve to get something from the game other than the last one, but it's just not meant to be today, unfortunately, for EXCEL.
When you look back at the goalkeeper mistake.
Yeah, that's a tough one to take because, of course, you don't want to make mistakes in order to concede goals, especially late on against a rival in complexity. So that was, I think that was the nail in the coffin there for me, especially not being able to respond with an equalizer. So conceding that is a very tough one to take.
Well, we said there was goals in the other game. It wasn't 0-0. There has actually been goals, and they've come on the side of Brazilian flair, it looks by the look of it. Speaking of Brazilians, here's Jarzinho now. This is MGCF Esports, 2 minutes in, only 2 minutes into the game. Went all the way around. Pele, one more pass, brilliant. FIFA, Jarzinho to Pele to R9. One was enough for them. They wanted 2. Speaking of more Brazilian players, not that time, it was Mbappe who found his head from that cheeky cross from Cafu. 2 goals to the goods, but as much as they're getting a win, I don't think it means much, Ryan. Just on the head-to-head complexity have got MGCF's number.
Yes, we speak about, of course, it doesn't matter about the points for MGCF or EXCEL. Even if complexity lose, just based on the head-to-head, they're automatically through, irrespective of the results or if they're level on points. But yeah, as we say, it's just a game to decide who will top the group and who will come second between complexity. And of course, Team Hooded Ninjas in Pajamas have already played their 8th game, so they're sitting and watching the results go by. But those goals there from MGCF, the first one was fantastic building up play with the passing in and around the area. The second one, of course, capitalizing off of an offside trap. But yeah, ultimately, it will not make any sort of implication on them advancing just because of their head-to-head up against complexity being in complexity.
Oh, wow! All right, you've set the stage up perfectly. Top the group is the only question left to answer. And Jarzinho will answer just that. You are right to say we said it was tricky. We said we might need tie-break as well. If complexity were to lose the game, tie-breakers would have come into play, but the storyline is this. EXCEL haven't beat complexity. Complexity have beat EXCEL. On the flip side of that, we've also seen complexity and MGCF Esports share results against each other, but overall complexity have scored more goals, which is one of those other head-to-head rulings there. Hence why you are seeing this table move and change. But the storyline is complexity are through, TG.NIP are through. It's just the question of who are they playing in the knockout stages. Top the table, you play PSG. Come second, you'll play Focus in January.
2 fantastic teams as well, so it's not even a thing where you can maybe tactically even play it out. I think it's just whoever you play is going to be a tough game, of course, but for complexity, they'll be happy. They just want to see out this group stage with a victory. 15 points now puts them, of course, top of the group.
Well, you just waved to me, Ryan, about the other game that's taking place. It was 2-0 to MGCF. Have EXCEL woken up? It might have been a little bit too late, but regardless of it, they're playing up for a final win. That was goal number 1, but they weren't done there. 2 goals in 2 minutes.
Wow.
From Tom and Gorilla, finding their feet, maybe a little bit too late, unfortunately. Really well done, a goal from both of them.
Fantastic goals there as well. Good composure for the second one with the ball roll, but as we say, maybe it's that spell of productivity in front of goal has come slightly too late for EXCEL in this tournament. But again, they want to end this group stage on a high, and for their sakes, hopefully they can end up getting another goal to put them in an advantageous position against MGCF. But as we say, 2 goals apiece as it stands.
SPQR looking for an equaliser. Can't quite find it. Remember that it's a win, and a win only for complexity, that will take them to the top of the table. A draw wouldn't be enough, as we said, TG.NIP are on 14 points. This win will put them on 15, as you just saw there. Just looking back on the EXCEL situation, Ryan, obviously 2 people you know very well, friends in the UK FIFA scene. They said they wanted to come out and be a bit more offensive today. Where do you think it went wrong?
Of course, it's easy to say what you want to do. It's just about, of course, transitioning that into your gameplay. And I felt as if, of course, there were elements of bad luck on their side. I feel like in some cases they may have deserved to score more than they did or conceded less than they deserved to concede. But of course, there were mistakes as well. And the mistakes proved to be extremely costly at this stage.
Well, speaking of that team and that game, there has been a goal in the game. Which way has it gone? Unfortunately, if you're an EXCEL fan, it's gone the opposite way of the Brazilian side, MGCF. 10 minutes after the restart. And MGCF back in front. If you enjoy goals, that's the perfect game for you. 5 goals we've seen there. As you can see, those two are just constantly moving around. MGCF looking to take third in the group. And as it stands, Complexity, with this win, if they can hold on for 27 more minutes, will top the group. They may have lost the game, but it's still been enough. With the wins they've had, 4 wins in total, this will be to take them to the top of the group. And what a refresh this has been from Complexity. They didn't have the best of FIFA 22 seasons by any means. FIFA 23, maybe there's just been a new level of energy for them to come back through and to get back to the top.
Absolutely. I think people forget that they are world champions in a 2v2 format in a previous FIFA. So they have the experience, they have the know-how and the ability to win a trophy up against the top competitors in the 2v2 scene. So they've done it before and they'll be hoping they can do it again. You can't write them off.
Juggling the boxes, R9. Might playing headers and volleys in this last 30 minutes.
Feels a bit weird, Brandon, just not being able to hear or not hearing any celebrations from MGCF when they score. Of course, they're usually very flairful with their celebrations, not afraid to celebrate and scream, but
Look,
of course, it's tough because, yeah, it's a game where even if you're winning, it doesn't put them through, so it's a difficult one.
It's the narrowest of margins as well, right?
Yeah.
We're talking
One goal
goals scored.
genuine
Goals
one
scored.
goal.
I mean, it wouldn't matter anyway right now because of the point difference, but if they were level on points, it still wouldn't be enough. Complexity scored more goals than MGCF. And that is the storyline there. 20 minutes left of this game. You can just see the overview. Both of these two. There are still smiles for SPQR. There is pride to play for those guys still. As we said, the storyline was that they could maybe stop Complexity from topping the group. And speaking of those results, Ryan, this will confirm 6 teams in the knockout stage. Of course, next week we're back here, same place, same time in London to find 2 more teams. But the bracket is filling slowly.
Yeah.
PSG will take on Complexity with this result as it stands. On the flip side, what a game. What a game. Focus, TG.NIP. As it stands, yes, we've still got next week to go. That's got to be the game of the round.
Yeah, definitely so far. 2 teams that, again, you would say that this could be a final matchup, let alone a matchup that early on. So for them, it's going to be a massive game. It's hard to predict, I'll be honest. I don't think any game you could sort of predict yet, just based on, I don't think any 2v2 team has sort of set in stone that they are the best this year. We've just seen 4 or 6 now fantastic teams.
And I think I'll be honest, Ron, I think we're speaking about potentially sort of 6 weeks will be the gap between now
it's a huge
and
gap.
the knock. I mean, what is going to happen in those 6 weeks?
A lot can change. New items released and another potential patch as well, so the gameplay might change. Of course, there's still time to build up a dynamic between the duos so they could gel with each other more, potentially improvements in their gameplay, and a lot can change. You could go into this tournament playing a certain formation, and then 6 weeks' time is completely changed on its head. It's tough to say.
And one thing that deserves a lot of credit as well, Ryan, that probably hasn't been spoke about today at all, is Complexity are based in North America.
Yeah.
They would not be able to play against European teams. They would have not had a flavour of playing against other competitors or similar play styles if they win a penalty. But what they've done is they've flown over so early. They were here last Wednesday in London, and they have just been getting friendlies, practice games against any European team just to get used to what everyone's doing. What's everyone playing? Here steps R9 to make it 2. Complexity are just 20 minutes away from topping the group. But that says a lot about that team. They've come over, what, 4 days early? Yes, there's jet lag implications there, but regardless of it, there's a work ethic.
Yeah, there is. That is a massive goal there to give them the 2-goal lead. And looks as if they will cement themselves as top of Group A with that penalty. And of course, we've been told, Brandon, that there's another goal in the game between EXCEL and MGCF Esports. It looks as if it's going to come from MGCF again.
They might not be going through, but they'll be going back to Brazil smiling, at least with this result in their back pocket. 4-2 up. Very different celebrations on your screen from MGCF. There's no sunglasses and no up on your feet dancing. They know, unfortunately, it isn't enough this time round. And how will those players be feeling now? I mean, obviously that was you last week, Ron.
Yeah, it's tough. Again, going into a game where you know that even if you win, it doesn't impact your progression into the next stage is very, very tough to get up for. It's sort of, is demotivating the right word? It's deflating. I think deflating is the right word, because you know that even if you perform well, it doesn't change anything. So that's very hard to take. But again, that was a great goal. That was a good step over boost into the space, an easy pass across goals. So it's a simple finish as SPQR break forward here, but it's good defending from MaXe there. It still results in a corner.
And for a team like SPQR, if you had to really sort of break it down, is it a lack of experience of playing other players, or is it just a combination of so many different things of, look, they've got 3 points, Ryan, from 24 in total. It's not been good at all, and there must be a number of reasons why it just hasn't gone to plan.
Yeah, a lot of different factors, as we say. Just starting off slowly is very punishing in this format, as
Complexity could find 3. I believe there's been another goal in the other game we have been speaking about.
Maybe that would take it
edging towards full time. I mean, which way has it gone? It might have been EXCEL fighting back for a late comeback in that one. Looking to be maybe an 8-goal thriller, if not more. Cruyff. Complexity trying to take more time out of the clock. They've done enough. They'll be going back to North America with the biggest of smiles. Top of the group, the only North American team to fly over to London and to compete. They've done it before. They've been world champions online in Milan. They're back in London and they're back waving the flag for North America again. Knockouts confirmed. A match against PSG Esports in January in the quarterfinals. We can only wait for that to unfold. On the flip side, TG.NIP against Focus. Get it in your diary. Early January. Back here in London, the EA Sports Cup will unfold as this 250k pot starts to split and starts to even out. 2 goals we hit. We have to show you in the other game. It wasn't 1. It was 2. We'll have a look at the highlights on that later instead. SPQR do get a goal back. Unfortunately, there's not enough time, really, to turn that one around. Just to confirm, as we said again, we'll show you the highlights at the end of the game between EXCEL and MGCF. Fortunately, that is pretty much it for Group A. 2 match days done. 3 teams will leave the tournament again. And 2 more teams, as we said, have booked their spot in the knockout stages. As expected today for you, or did you expect a different?
It's tough to say because, as I said, I expected Team Hullet Ninja Summers to advance, in my opinion, without doubt, and the other spot was up for grabs between the 3 other teams. I felt as if it was a tough ask for SPQR to turn it around from having 0 points in the first week. But again, huge congratulations to Complexities at Joksan and at MaXe as they advance top of Group A, where they will be playing at PSG Esports in the knockout stage, and of course TG.NIP will be playing up against Focus. We spoke about how huge of a game that is going to be. A massive, massive matchup.
What a game that will be, as we said. That will be happening in January in the knockout stages. 2 teams go through, 3 more will be knocked out. Complexity, the only North American team, the only team outside of Europe to be in the knockout bracket. South America came, unfortunately they couldn't qualify. Asia were in town, unfortunately Blue United couldn't do enough. The only team outside of Europe will be these guys, the defending 2v2 champions of past years for that FIFA E Club World Cup, where they were the same duo with the same energy, just on a new game. MaXe and Joksan are through, and more importantly, a team that's been so consistent on LAN, especially in the last year. Ollelito, Levi, unbeaten across 8 rounds of fixtures across 2 different match days. Congratulations to them both. They must be absolutely buzzing.
Yep, and rightly so. As we say, unbeaten. It's not easy to do that, but they'll be happy just to get into that knockout stages where they'll back themselves to go the distance. They definitely will be.
Yeah, incredible stuff. Congratulations to both of those 2. Commiserations to the teams that have fallen out here. And it looks as if we're going to be going down to Dan Gaskin, who's one of the teams that unfortunately has not made it through to the knockout stages. I believe he's joined with EXCEL.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Yeah, I've been looking forward to speaking to these guys all day long, and unfortunately I have to do it at the worst moment. Gorilla Tom, commiserations, of course, exiting the tournament. What went wrong? Break it down. Like, is there anything you feel you can put this down to?
No, it is the simple answer. Practice, we're playing good. We was confident in our ability. It just didn't happen for us. The first 2 games, we didn't score our goals. I think we started off slow against NIP, but I think for about 60 minutes of that game, the remainder of the game, I thought we were the better team. And then complexity, we had chances, didn't score it. And obviously, we had the mistake, but that's FIFA. But the balls didn't want to go in the back of the net for us today. It's as simple as that. And obviously, when we did start scoring, it's too late.
It's the highs and lows of FIFA sometimes. I mean, Tom, qualification for the E-Champions League, congrats on that one. But now you've got this. What's the biggest difference for you between 1v1 and 2v2s?
I think it's just the way you have to talk to your teammate all the time. Like yesterday, I'm just in a zone, you're playing 1v1, and then obviously I think a lack of practice might have hurt us a little bit, but there's no excuses. Like, I probably sound like an excuse there, but there's no excuses. I mean, the mistake I've made against Complexity, I've already apologised to everyone, especially him. Like, it's just unacceptable at this level. You can't win games of FIFA and you're playing like that. It's literally amateur stuff. So, yeah, I'll take a lot of the blame. Obviously, we can sit there and say, oh, we didn't score, but if you make a mistake like that, you're going to lose games. I owe an apology once again to Spen and to anyone else that was supporting. It happens. It's part of FIFA, and yeah, we've got a lot to learn from this one.
Well, sometimes mistakes, you do learn from them. It does build you as characters. What's next for you guys? What's coming up next? What have we got to look forward to with you guys playing?
Well, we have a lot of 1v1 tournaments, of course, but we've got Club World Cup, the 2v2, so it's the start of the year. I know it's in the moment it's a hard one to take, but it's a long year. A lot of tournaments, 1v1 and 2v2. Last year, I think we was one of the best teams towards the end of the year, so it's there. We just got to find it. It's this tournament. We learn from it, and we got to move forward.
We're going to see a trophy from you this year, Tom?
Let me cry into the pillow first, and then I'll decide that tomorrow. But I think I just need tonight just to recover from what's happened. Obviously, has hit me hard there, but hopefully we'll come back to this interview in 6 months and we'll be lifting something and say, yeah, it was all worth it, but we'll find out soon.
Cheers, Tom. Cheers, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Let's go over to Brandon. We've got Richard and Mike as they're going to be interviewing some of the winners.
Thank you very much, Dan. Obviously, commiserations to the 3 teams who have been eliminated, but congratulations. Get there. You're the main man, Ollie. What a performance. We've already heard from you how gassed you were, how excited you were. After a disappointing weekend in the ECL, how important was it for you and Levi to make a statement here today?
I think I was talking to Levi before this, and I said to him, we just got a reset today, and today we redeeming ourselves, and this is the best FIFA 23 gameplay we played up to this point. And I've been saying it a lot of times. I mean, Levi, in my opinion, is probably one of the best players in the whole world. In the 1v1 competitions, and I mean, just playing with him is such an honor, and then I gotta thank my coaches at home once again, Hjelte, Jelle and Renzo, who is here with us. I mean, this team is just fantastic, and I'm very, very happy being part of it.
Yeah, and look, we go look ahead a little bit. A really, really good game on January 16th. What can people expect at home?
I mean, it's either PSG or Focus for us before we said, and we don't care who we play. And I mean, playing Focus, 2 good friends of mine, Dylan and Musti there, so I'm looking forward to it. Hoping for a high-scoring game, always fun for the viewers, but we will be giving our all, and we're always aiming to win, right? So yeah.
Mike, it's the Winners Club, and we've got another winner over there. Take it away.
Well, first off, congrats. Obviously, maybe a little biased here, but I'm very happy to see the North Americans get through. And how does it feel for you guys, not only to get out of the group, to advance, but also to top the group?
It feels really good because, I mean, we had like a lot of people doubting us after last year. We had one bad year, and I saw some people say that we kind of fell off, so it feels good to just kind of shut everyone up and then come back, get first. And then, I mean, we're happy with getting first in the group, but we want to win the whole thing, so.
And we're going to look through some of the highlights of your games. Okay. But that was something that I wanted to stress on as well, is I know last year after a bad result, everybody was saying, is this really the team that we want to represent North America? And that kind of carried over with a chip on your shoulder, it looks like.
100%. I mean, that's why we've been working extra hard this year, because it doesn't feel good to see people say that, you're done.
And for today, what were some of the biggest moments you think that really shifted the directions? I mean, generally speaking, you had a lot of good moments today, but there were some comebacks that had to be made. You had to see out some tough games. There were late goals, of course. We talked a little bit about EXCEL and taking the ball off them late.
Yeah, no, that goal we scored against EXCEL where they messed up with the goalkeeper, that kind of like changed the whole day for us, because that win just set us up, gave us momentum, and then we finished it off.
And tell me, are you looking forward to the PSG game? It's circled on my calendar. I'm going to be here. It's going to be your next opposition.
I mean, I saw some people say, like, we'd rather play PSG than Focus, but, I mean, you don't come to this tournament to dodge somebody. Like, you just play who you play, So playing PSG, and we'll try to beat them.
Well, congratulations. We look forward to these matchups.
Well, we can see just confirmation of the bracket on the screen right there. It's unbelievable, let's be honest. Complexity Gaming up against PSG Esports. Your game, Ollie, against Focus Clan. Do you think you've got 8 of the best teams in the world right there on the screen?
100%. I think all the teams that are in this tournament are the 20 best teams in the world, and that's why I felt such a relief, going through, like showing the world that we are one of the best duos, and I think we are, simply. So I think the groups was hard, but the knockouts will be even harder.
Well, thank you very much, guys. Unbelievable performance today from you. We'll see you both on January 16th. You can't leave him hanging.
Hey, left me hanging. I'm catching everybody now. It's okay. I already had passed it on.
We'll see you all soon, guys. Great stuff, as always. Mike, we wrapped up for today. They're the results of this last round.
I feel like we're taking a stroll. We're taking a stroll together to close out the show.
Complexity Gaming 2-1 win against SPQR Brazil, and an unbelievable game, in all honesty, to end the day. MGCF 4, EXCEL 4. That is how the table wrapped up. We started with Complexity on top, and we end with Complexity on top. Team Hulk Ninja in Pyjamas, 4 points clear of their closest rivals. MGCF and EXCEL both on 10 points, and SPQR on 3.
First time that we've seen 4 teams in double digits as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's probably one of the most competitive groups that we've seen over the all of today. I really, really didn't see it playing out this way. I think when you came into it, you had the 4 favourites to say. SPQR was out of the conversation already, but Complexity and Team Hulk Ninja Pyjamas quieting a lot of haters, you would say, at home. And I think you saw that in MaXe's interview a little bit.
There's definitely some doubters in NA in general, and I don't like that. I don't support that. We have different messaging together. But I will say this, and we've both been at many events. Typically, if you throw a South American team or an individual into some sort of grouping, they find a way out. And the fact that both the Brazilian duos went home early is a bit of a surprise.
Well, it's been an outstanding day here today in Group A. And as always, we end these shows on the EA Sports Cup with the goals of the day, picked by Mike LaBelle himself.
Let's get this party started. And today had a lot of build-up goals where you're going to see extra passes, a lot of details, and a lot of intricate plays to get into the final third. You see some of that all-around play here with Ronaldo, the double step over, finds the scissors, the extra pass across the body. Why not have a little bit of that green time finish? And then from the corner kick, a little bit of a different route here. You see that step over, Pele attacks the space again, across the body. But we're seeing so many direct corners. It's nice to have some of these mix-ups where you're looking for those extra passes. Speaking of, Jarzinho finds Ronaldo. Ronaldo with Mbappe, tight footwork as he walks that around the goalkeeper. And then 2nd to 1, not 2nd to none, we have another one of these team goals where I really like it. Cafu playing that wingback role, pulls it back again. You're gonna have an extra pass here. Mbappe, Rude, hold it. Put your foot through it, big man. Does that indeed. Weak foot, not an issue. And number 1, I was commentating this game. I love this goal. You got that ball roll, Trivela cross, isolate Pele, let him do his job. I salute you.
I mean, it's probably the best goals that we've seen in the entire tournament. I think that's the best package that we've seen.
Depends what you like. There's always preference involved. Less skill moves, but there was a lot of build-up play, a lot of extra passes in the right areas. It was intricate, it was detailed, it was particular. I'm adding some spice.
There was a buffet.
Give me the salt. Give me the salt.
Well, today is wrapped up, but next week we go again. 6 out of 8 finalists are confirmed. Next week, what a set of fixtures we have got. Makers in action, Guild Esports with Nicholas 99 FC, the Wonder Kid and the world champion for RB Leipzig. Blue United looking to overturn their frailties of week 4, and you cannot forget Team Footwiz, 2 of the best youngsters in the world. Mike, what are we expecting next week? Are you excited?
I'm super excited. I was trying to figure out who's going to come out of the group as you're going through some of the names. Because you got to think about it. Footwiz, arguably been maybe the most hyped team coming into this. They're in a position to make some moves. You've got the world champ and the guy that you say is going to be the future world champ. They're teamed up and leading that group at the moment. You got Nicholas, so you got to say, of course, the Argentinian's going to get it done. He's now a London man. He's on the building if we go for a little bit of a walk.
I mean, look, we're going to see all those players in action and many more. I'll be here, Mike LaBelle will be here, and the rest of our talented crew. make sure that you keep tuned to this stream because we're going to give you a teaser of what's to come next week. We're going to show some love to get in the raid and show that man some support. We'll be back, same time, same place next week to find our quarterfinalists. See you soon.